Good evening, everybody. Attorney Greg Lake here. Welcome to the Entheogenic Esquire YouTube channel and podcast. As indicated, we will be meeting and discussing the Tyler Robinson matter, particularly the most recent court hearing with Adam Thomas, one of y'all's favorite guests. He is running a little bit late. He's taking care of his babies. So I will fill in the time. I think he should be here by my time, 9:15 EST, so about 10 minutes. So obviously I'll fill in the interim. I see Rick's here. Hey, Rick, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. God bless everyone. Thank y'all to everyone who showed up to my live stream the other night. I guess it would have been Wednesday night. Thank y'all very much. Still getting into the swing of things. But again, tonight, Adam and I are going to be discussing as much as we can of the court hearing, right? I mean, to be honest with you, I'm still making my way through a lot of it. Hey, Debbie, how you doing, love? Good to see you. But yeah, as everybody knows, I'm still playing a little bit of catch up. But man, the court hearing is just dense in a lot of ways. I've made it all the way through the first part talking about the defense's, request for an extension or for a continuance on what was scheduled preliminary hearing date coming up in May. Obviously, that took up, I think, a couple hours, really, to be honest with you. I think it was about 2 hours that part of the hearing took up. And so obviously I've watched it twice so far just to make sure that I catch everything. I've been taking notes. And then I'm into the second part of the hearing, right? That was concerning allowing media and cameras in the courtroom, in regards to future proceedings and or trial. And so very interesting. And I've been watching the first expert that was put on by Tyler Robinson's attorney. And I'm not going to get too far into it now. I'll wait for Adam to come on. Hey, Nosy Google, nice to see you. And again, Debbie, Rick, how y'all doing? I apologize, y'all. I was actually out in nature today. We were at the creek doing some filming. And up the creek I could tell, I couldn't see it, but it's an incredible waterfall and just like these huge boulders and stuff. But one of those things where the creek doesn't have a bank. I mean, it's basically bedrock, right? Into the creek bank. So the only way to go up there from where I was to just go straight up the creek in the middle, climbing all the rocks and everything. But I got on the side and accidentally bumped my head on a piece of wood. I didn't go low enough, so I apologize. I'm not looking the best tonight. But anyways, back to what I was saying. The hearing with these experts, I'll say this right now. Obviously, we're waiting on Adam. Hey, how you doing, Kazzy from Perth? Oh, man. I love having an international crowd. I tell you, I love y'all. I'm a people person, never met a stranger. And I know that if we were to talk to one another, we would have a really good time. But anyways, yeah, we're waiting on Adam to get here. But with just hearing some of and maybe I missed out. I got to admit, everybody, I have to admit, when I saw the Charlie Kirk thing, and I was actually, my wife and I were staying with my in-laws at the time. And to be honest, I didn't know just a whole bunch about who Charlie Kirk was at the time. Admittedly, I'd been checked out politics stuff for a long time. But when she told me, and then I went and I saw it on the TV they were watching at the time, but then I went and looked at the thing. I had questions from the start, with the Charlie Kirk thing. And I don't know if maybe because it affected me so deeply on a spiritual level to see this happen that I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the initial news stories and reels and all that stuff that were being done about it. But just hearing some of the stuff that the expert for Tyler Robinson, the media, the legal, as a matter of fact, he's a trial consultant. So he's an attorney that does polling and things like this, does mock trials, but they do focus group stuff like that for trial. Was their expert, and just playing some of the media that I guess was occurring not only in the immediate aftermath of the incident, but also, and make sure Adam's not here, but also leading up through the first few key court proceedings, like his arraignment and these other appearances, like the first 3 or 4, playing some of the media coverage from it. And, it's pretty appalling, to be quite honest with you. And, you say, is that intentional or not? And we'll get into that in a little bit, but it was pretty appalling, some of the coverage and how they really, it's sometimes in a slick way, sometimes in a not very slick way. We're basically trying to couch unproven evidence or allegations in the information kind of as fact, while still dancing around that, this is alleged, this is a suspect. And I took some notes earlier. We'll get into it in a bit with Adam, but yeah, it was pretty incredible. I didn't, obviously we've looked at a lot here, like at some of the Newsmax, and remember we looked at that Brian Entin, Entin, interview with that FBI agent, right? That was making some pretty prejudicial statements, and not only that, he, in my opinion, made a lot of otherwise what should be an expert opinion for maybe a psychologist or psychiatrist, but was just speaking freely in that direction, right? And implying guilt upon Tyler Robinson at the same time. And so, I had seen that obviously and some other pieces that we've talked about too, right? With the body language experts, these, what was it? The lip readers, body language experts. I mean, these things were highly prejudicial in my opinion, right? I mean, obviously people feel free to take your own opinion, but they were very prejudicial in my view. And seeing this, right, stuff that I wasn't necessarily aware of per se, although I did have an inclination after what the press conference with Trump and the governor saying, oh, this is a leftist furry, we're going to see the death penalty. I mean, not to say, and considering that means that what I saw that didn't necessarily surprise me, but it just added layers onto the media storm that has come upon this case. And I'll admit too, I think watching this also made me realize that maybe we exist in an echo chamber a little bit. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or saying this in a bad way, but in the sense that I've been kind of insulated from people who hold kind of contrary assessments of this whole deal, right? With Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk. Okay. And so it made me realize that too, is that, man, because and I'll admit a lot of my people in my personal life also kind of agree. I mean, I don't think a bunch of people have reached resonance on the exact theory of what happened, everybody that was involved, right? And not saying that we need to or have to, especially at this juncture. But as far, hey, what's up, Dariella from Germany? Yeah, dude, I love it. God bless y'all, man. God bless y'all. I hope it's a decent hour for y'all there. Yeah, and Adam will be here soon too. I actually adjusted my sleep schedule a bit. I had been getting up at 4:30, man, working 14, 16 hours some days, but now I'm kind of transitioned back to about a 6:37 through 5, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. schedule. So this is a little bit late in that regard, but I did take time to go to nature today. So I have some extra gas in the tank up here. Did some meditation for y'all tonight. So it's a good thing. Debbie, yeah, Nancy, I watched that too. It's a shame that kid's in prison for the rest of his life. Oh, so you're talking about this Netflix thing, making, if you know anything about the Steve Avery case in Wisconsin, I can see why a defense team would want to keep me out for the preliminary trials. Making a murder on Netflix about Steve Avery. Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. Yeah. I, to be honest with y'all, and again, this is just my opinion, my assessment is it's the first time in my life that I can remember, even as a lawyer. And again, I've checked out of a lot of these things for a while too, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, but it's really the first time I can remember, to be quite honest with you, a time where I felt the media, and again, this is my feelings, right? That I felt the media was out there to actually pin a for sure certain narrative down so hard, even when it came against contrary, pretty well known facts or established facts, at least in the public record. And the more that's being revealed now, like in this hearing, really gleans or shines upon stuff that has been occurring before, right? And so, yeah, it's very interesting. I don't like it one bit. I understood and still understand that, a lot of times the media can be unfair to people, especially criminal defendants. But this just seems to be a time, and maybe it was because the president, again, and harking back to what I said a minute ago, maybe it's because the president, the governor of Utah, the attorney general came out so quick making those statements. And as I've said before, that also played into my Greg, something is not right here meter, right? So it was really seeing the event, hearing the allegations, particularly with regard to a 30-6, seeing the president and these other people say, oh, yeah, death penalty, these are leftist first. All that really, for me, felt like something's not right here. And then the media narrative since then, trying to push that agenda, that narrative, a lot of it, right? Um, Despite the fact that, again, other facts, evidence that unfortunately it's had to been us public have produced through obviously, Candace, Barron, other content creators doing the incredible investigations, in my opinion. You know, man, it is intense to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of questions and speculation that I'd like to kind of go into with y'all, but I'm not going to, for obvious reasons. But obviously, these things will develop over time. And as I've said, for me on this channel, anyways, I'm very, very adamant about staying neutral and objective about reaching certain conclusions as far as who was ultimately involved, what's all going on, how far reaching is this? Because for one, I'd like to focus on getting Tyler, off. Obviously, I think Tyler I don't think that he caused the unaliving Charlie Kirk. I'll just say that. So if that's true, right, I'd like to work to get that taken care of, but not to downgrade or downplay the fact that, yes, we need to figure out ultimately what happened here. I think it's very important. If that obviously hasn't sunk in with a lot of people here, I'm sure it has. But yeah, it's obviously very important. But I just from a spiritual level feel that when we really, and I know I've said this many times, I'll say it again, when we really try to congeal on certain theories of how this happened, it seems that a lot of people start to like butt heads. But I think ultimately we're all in the same community and neighbors in having a very important vested interest in figuring out what did go on here, that it just doesn't feel right to me to be involved in going back and forth with one another on this. But hey, we do need to be together to collect evidence and definitely indulge in certain lines of reasoning and thinking and, conclusions, maybe not so set in stone, but understand there are certain, and I beat myself up on this too, right? Some of the conclusions that I've reached in my head based, taking certain assumptions is quite frankly scary every now and then, to be quite honest with you. I'm still trying to work that out. But I tell you, the most important thing about it, though, is that no matter how this turns out, who might ultimately be behind this or that, I think the most important thing is that we stick together. I think that's going to be a very important thing through all of this is all of us very interested parties stick together and just agree that, and I know some people disagree with this. Some people say, oh, well, Charlie Kirk's not, he's still with us, and I respect that too. But at the end of the day, whatever went on here, right, I think we can all agree that responsible parties need to be held accountable. And that, to the extent that we could ever try to prevent something like this from happening again, we should probably take the necessary steps to do that as well. So anyways, that is my lecture generally on this matter tonight where I am. But again, I'll check some comments real quick. And I think Adam should be here soon. Let's see if he's texted me. We're going to text him. All right, let's see. Debbie says, I love Germany. My mom's from Germany. Her name is Gisela Helga. Oh, nice. Oh, so I want to talk about that real quick. No, I just saw something in one of Debbie's comments. Thank you, Debbie. She'll hear about, yes, they were in there. Yeah, so last night, I will just talk about this real quick because I was a complete bombshell in a little bit. For me was Barron's show last night, right? I think it was last night. I watched it this morning, whether it was last night or not, but talking about, he had the high definition pictures of the car, and man, they must've been high definition because, he zoomed in on the seat and he obviously had been showing different pieces of metal, bullet fragments, right? Different examples of what bullet fragments look like from different types of rounds. And then zoomed in on the SUV seat there that they had taken Charlie Kirk in the hospital with. And wouldn't you know, kind of like right there, conveniently where your pocket would probably, just my opinion, speculation, empty out onto the seat if you were sitting there. Again, I'm not going to jump to conclusions because we're just looking at pictures, obviously, on Barron's computer on YouTube. But hey, I can't see. There he goes. Adam's here.
I made it. Better
Adam,
late
what's
than
up,
never.
buddy? Good to see you, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
It has been a minute. Oh,
yeah, it happens like that sometimes,
Oh God, it's been crazy. we were we all got sick, one at a time. That was rough. The
Yes.
wife got it first, and I guess she caught it from daycare, and God, I got it, and it was downhill from there.
Yeah. Kids are good about getting the adults into their misery with them. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they done a fine job this time too. Woo.
Yeah, man.
Hey, give me just 1 second. I'm fixing to go hit this light.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I was okay. Yeah. So back to what I was saying
Never
about
mind,
the
I got
things
it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, I was
Yeah, I
actually
got it.
talking about the bullet fragments from
Yeah.
the episode last night. But yeah, go ahead and finish up what you're saying, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that stomach bug is just the worst though. She got it, I guess, from daycare because they've been talking about it going around daycare, and then God, she got it bad, and then next thing you know, I had it, and then the 15-year-old got it. So anyway, we got through
Hey,
it.
well, at least y'all get herd immunity now, huh?
Mm-hmm. Anthony Fauci said that's super important.
Dude. Yeah, Fauci. Yeah, I'm gonna work him into my next comedy skit, actually. But yeah, it's funny you brought that
I'm
up.
gonna work him into some shows anyway, whether they're comedic or not. That remains to be seen.
Yeah. Man. Looking back on that whole thing, it's like we've been collectively traumatized for a while in this country now.
Yeah. Big time.
And I think hopefully we're helping trying to work it out, at least in this instance, for some people, because I get it, through COVID and all that. It's just been a lot.
Oh yeah. COVID was really, really bad for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It didn't take me long to figure out that there was something going on there. Just couldn't quite put my finger on what. But then, yeah. Once they started telling us to put them face diapers on, and you had to. That was it for me. I was like, yeah, no.
That happened. That happened for me around the same time I was having a little bit of spiritual enlightenment, and so yeah, I kind of woke up to it. Through going in that direction pretty quick. But yeah, when I came to the realization, it's alarming.
Yeah.
It's alarming to think that we have people and networks within our world that would, at the very least be messing around in a lab negligently with something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a lot to that.
That's also alarming,
Yeah, the fact that they would be, playing around with nature in such ways, and then, that they would accidentally or not so accidentally leak it, and then the whole cover up and the whole the distancing and the face diapers and the whole works, essential, non-essential. We need to do a show one of these days after this Charlie Kirk thing dies down. We need to do us a show on all the legal aspects of all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
my mother-in-law,
all the mandates and.
Yeah, my mother-in-law was working as a nurse over in a lab at the UNC area over there. So yeah, she kind of had a few ideas and
that's right. That's over in your neck of the woods.
And understanding about it, before it really hit on. And so yeah, I'd love to sit down and speak about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what I was saying, were you able to catch Barron's episode on the bullet fragments in the car last night?
So yes, you're talking about the possible what appears to be or looks like lead fragments.
Right, possible alleged high definition pictures I saw. What did you think about that?
I'm not 100% convinced either way. He is right. It does kind of look like it, but I've also seen some other pictures. I couldn't just from the stream, get and zoom in real good.
Yeah.
But I mean, it did appear to be. I've seen a few pictures on X that are zoomed in real good where it looks a little less like it. But I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, if so, my whole take on it is if there was any way to prove that was indeed what we were looking at there, I would say that that means that somebody had bagged some, and was trying to add some to the
that's my opinion again, this is my opinion, like if it were true, if that were, it looks real shiny. It doesn't look like fragments that were actually used doing dirty business, I guess, for lack of a better
Right.
description. Like
Yeah.
one's collected from shooting a brick or something like that. Does
Yeah.
that make
Well, I
sense? Am
mean,
I right?
yeah, and even even a hunter. I mean, if you knew beforehand that you were going to need to add a little bit of evidence to a particular something
A
in the
little salt to
future,
the deer steak.
I mean, yeah, you go kill you a deer as long as you're good and patient. You could take it, you could take you little metal detector or whatever. But yeah, you could sit there and you could pick metal fragments out for days,
Yeah.
especially depending on what kind of round you use, what kind of ammo you use. But yeah, it wouldn't be that hard to come up with it. And then of course, I mean, obviously, if you were to use it in the future, talking about how nice and clean it is, if you were going to
Yeah.
use it in the future with testing being as it is these days, you would have to clean it a ridiculous amount, if there even is a way to get it truly clean. But regardless, it would have to be clean. Otherwise, think of all the other DNA and
Oh yeah.
so if that was indeed the case, I would say, yeah, it probably had good reason to be shiny because it would have really had to have been cleaned up. Otherwise, when they test it, there's no telling what all it would come back as.
Yeah, I guess the two facts that kind of for me play back upon maybe there is something there is one, Brian Harpole admitted on Sean Ryan to manipulating, and I'm not saying that in a negative or bad way, but like doing something, shoving gauze into Charlie's womb.
Yep.
And then that car is what auctioned off or gotten rid of. Again, just two kind of extraneous facts that like,
Oh yeah, I mean they
making that piece
left no way to really go back and check too much after the fact. That's for
Yeah.
sure. For anything. I mean, you think about what all can't be gone back and checked now. Everything from the possible plastic / glass fragments. The any of the DNA stuff. Which I mean, some of that stuff may have been. According to the story, did the FBI not take it at some point and then release it, and then they took it, got rid of it? Was that the way that? Because didn't Frank Turek say that that they wouldn't let him back into the SUV to get his bag
Well,
when they were at the hospital?
I don't know that for sure, but that's interesting. Do you know when and where he might have said that? I wasn't aware of that, but if you heard it.
Let's see. It was one of the earlier on Frank Turek interviews, because it was one of those interviews where, and the necklace seemed to be a huge subject for him and some of the others, and that's what he was talking about, was the fact that he had been they'd been looking high and low for this necklace, couldn't find the necklace. Never mind the fact that the wedding band was never mentioned, but regardless, they were looking for the necklace, had to find the necklace, and then and he had said that his bag and stuff was in the SUV, and that they wouldn't let him back in it. And then finally, when they released it and allowed him to go back in there, he went, and there it was, draped over his bag.
Well, that's interesting because I know this might be another piece of evidence that was, in a sense, negligently or intentionally.
Oh yeah,
we say destroyed, but allowed to be contaminated at the very. I mean, I guess we could technically go track down.
Well, why wouldn't they have taken that necklace? If it was just there, you can't tell me that they missed it if it was literally just draped over his bag, right?
Yeah.
So why would they not collect that? Why would they not collect that?
Yeah,
were they told not to?
Yeah, why they wouldn't have, I'm not saying permanently seized, but why they wouldn't have seized that vehicle.
Yeah.
To not only let the FBI do their analysis, but also to potentially allow the defense experts to.
That thing should have been towed. That thing should have been towed from the hospital and taken straight to wherever, either UBI, I guess, and then what I'm assuming that's what it's called, Utah Bureau of Investigation, or wherever, whoever would perform all that. It should have been towed there and torn apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, wouldn't you say that, like, if there is, I mean, obviously there's something in the seat that's not like attached to part of the seat that
Right.
Darren
Yeah.
shows. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, it's something there.
yeah, that should have been. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm no crime scene expert technician,
I'm
so don't
pretty
get me
sure
wrong. But
any loose
it
items,
should have been
especially that
collected
are,
in a bag and like
yeah,
put
yeah,
somewhere. I
yeah.
mean, is that too much
Regardless
to
of, yep,
expect? Or?
regardless of what it looks like or appears to be, that's what always thought. All of that got bagged because you never know.
That's right. You never know, and yeah, so that's odd to me too, and so that makes me think like. And if Frank Turk is correct, right, that the feds or whoever, what law enforcement agent had control over that vehicle just prior to whatever happened to it next, I mean, that might be another potential due process claim for
Right.
Tyler, especially in this instance, because if those are lead fragments, right, that look pretty brand new and not like they were really involved in anything other than maybe a shot rifle, that definitely could be potentially exculpatory evidence to the extent that they might ever be able to link the bullet fragment to his rifle, supposedly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. No, absolutely. And hey, I see y'all in the chat. Hey, Miss Debbie,
Hey,
Miss
what's up,
Susan.
y'all?
I see. Yeah, Boomer's in there. I got all the regulars in there, and looks like we got a few more. Nosy's in there. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. It's been a couple days since I've been live, so
It looks
always.
like Rick says the FBI cleared the SUV. I'm sure. I think he probably wants to say Frank got his bag and Charlie's necklace was on top of it. Oh, so Charlie's necklace was magically on top of
Yeah,
Frank's
that's
bag.
what I was saying. It was supposed to be just draped across the top whenever Frank finally got access to it again.
Wow. And that's another thing too. It's like, wouldn't you expect the FBI to have taken his bag out of there and thoroughly searched it and
You would think.
inventoried it? Like,
Yeah, you would think. Oh, let's let us look around let us look around the vehicle and take a few pictures, and then your stuff will be there untouched whenever we get done. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I hope that us as the public, everybody in the public, can have a new appreciation for like the laws against evidence destruction and spoliation. Like those serve a good purpose. And I know they didn't really, in my opinion, enforce them against Terrell Farnsworth necessarily, but
No, not at all.
That really, in my opinion, was a situation just like Exhibit A to the law. Like, hey, here's the type of stuff that you at least attempt to prosecute. Just my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's crazy. And hopefully, I mean, and for people to get a true appreciation for that, that would be nice if some people would actually pay some kind of consequences for all that, everything from the SD cards to, the works. But, I don't know. Did you catch that? What Candace was talking about in I don't think it was her last episode, but a couple episodes back about the SD cards. She said, it never really hit her. But that Terrell had said that he had turned that footage over to the FBI. Well, when she talked to him and he showed her the footage, which was days later, when he showed her that footage, they already had the call going, so she could see him as he went in on his desktop and opened this up. And she said she saw plainly that, he opened a removable drive folder.
Oh,
so I mean, he had to have physically had the card, at his home location.
Oh yeah,
in the computer
to the
right.
Yeah.
But the story is that he collected it and then gave it to law enforcement. So does that mean he put it on his computer first and copied it, or?
Yeah, law enforcement would have wanted to have the physical card, like the actual physical card, not a copy of the card, like
and before it was and before it was copied or downloaded too.
And normally they would have gotten that after they put him in handcuffs,
right?
And put him in the car. You know what I mean? They would have gotten the original card, and then that would have been entered into.
I'll have to go back and check the footage because I had either forgotten or maybe I never knew that. But I was watching. Did you see Allie's stream earlier?
No, I didn't catch it. What was she talking about?
Well, she was saying, and like I said, I may have just forgot it, or I don't know that I ever really realized it. She was saying that the SD cards were in his hat. Like he didn't even put them in his pocket. He had them in his hat. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
that's
Yeah.
even
Because,
10 times shadier.
yeah. Because, and I think it wasn't even him. I think it was his partner, as we say on the streets, his partner that was there with him.
Who,
Um,
Philip?
Yeah, after Terrell grabbed him, like Philip was around the other side, if I remember it correctly. He's already on the other side of the tent, like talking on the phone. And as Terrell comes around the back to the other side, he kind of holds his hat out like that. And it's again, you don't see it clearly, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
this is just my opinion, speculation based off what I see. You kind of see Terrell maybe drop something into the hat
Okay.
and then he
Okay.
leaves, but then he comes back again. So it's like it almost like they were doing
Hmm.
it card by card like that. But again,
Right.
that's just speculation. I'm not
I'll
saying
have to
that's for
go back
sure.
and watch those myself because I never really realized that, never put two and two
Yeah,
together.
as a matter of fact, if you send me an email, just because I have like screenshots of like that exact moment already
Yeah.
pulled
Yeah.
out because I had done it on a live stream of mine. But
Yeah.
yeah, if I remember correctly, it looks like something like that goes down. So if you said that, like, yeah, they had it in their hat, that makes a little bit more sense to what I had was looking at previously, if I
But
remember.
like I said, how much shadier does that make it look? You know, it's one thing to take it, but especially if you're stuffing it in the, the inner band of your hat.
You know, I'll just say this: if I'm a resident of Utah and I see that, I mean, it just lets me know that there's two different systems of justice out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think it's a bigger than just Utah problem, obviously, but like, I would be alarmed, and that's just my opinion, right, based upon what I
Yeah.
see. And obviously, you know, we
Well,
can't
there's
say for
just
sure 100% he's guilty under the statute per
no, but
se. There's some subjective type questions in it, but I think most reasonable observers I've spoken with, our audience and stuff, all kind of agree that, like,
yeah.
yeah, that
I
kind of
mean,
fits in it.
there are certain things that innocent people do, and there's certain things that guilty people do, and they're not necessarily mutually exclusive,
That's
I
right. That's
guess.
right.
But at the end of the day, that's not generally how somebody with good intentions, maybe
No, no.
maybe he thought some kind of maybe he thought some lefty trans ninja was going to jump down and like beat him up and take the card from him or something. He wanted to make sure it was safe. I
You
don't
know,
know.
it's funny because we don't have Farnsworth anywhere on record or media like
Oh
giving us
no,
any explanation
there's
for it. But
certain
hey,
ones that have
that
not.
Wired video, they tried to make an explanation for him, and I think there's been
Oh
like
yeah,
two other bits that try to make an explanation for him, but we've never heard it from the horse's mouth of
the
like, why did
the
you
only
do this?
the only thing we heard from him was that dumbass selfie he did, and I think that right there in and of itself was enough. That just that selfie that that leads me to believe that more than likely he was sat down and somebody like Andrew Colvett, allegedly somebody of that, somebody like that sat him down and was like, "Look, dude, you keep your mouth shut. Do not say a damn word
Yeah,
about
yeah,
anything. We will explain what you were doing and why, you know."
yeah. One thing that's occurred to me too over time is that, you know, they otherwise didn't know whether they were in a live shooter event or not. You know what I mean? And
They
you know,
shouldn't have known.
yeah, and this is just my opinion, but you know, Farnsworth and them aren't people of like real firmness. You
Oh
know, in
no,
that I
nerves of
think that
steel and all that.
I think they would normally be very, very scared and run very, very
Yeah, yeah.
far
Yep.
had they not had. And again, it's just my opinion, speculation that had they not
Known
understood a few
that
things
there
about what
wasn't
was really
any
going on.
others. Yeah, there wasn't anything coming
You see
after.
the other people, like a lot of the other people in the crowd. I mean, a lot of them are like running out the back and like
Oh
not looking
yeah.
back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, let's
yeah,
get out of
yeah.
here.
Yep.
But there's a
Tell me
certain
about
group
it
of people
later.
that
I'm not
stuck
sticking around
around.
to
They're like,
see.
oh, you know, this is cool. So, you know,
Yep. No, definitely did not act very consistent with the way most people act in a live shooter type situation.
no, no. In again that it got lost on me for a while about that, right? Because we've been so focused in on what people were doing right before and after. But like, if we really think about the grand scheme of things, I think those people should have been a lot more scared
Yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
fleeing than they
I mean,
were.
Does Mikey McCoy seem like the type to have nerves of steel, especially under a live fire situation? But yet he calmly, coolly collected. He turns around, got his phone up to his ear, and walks out of there. Never breaks, never misses a step. You know,
I've seen, I know in my life, I'm sure you have too. I've seen a lot of people I thought were real tough and hard come across like some situations. Like, for instance,
end
I've
up
seen a
pissing
guy
herself or
who's so
something.
tough go in the woods and see a snake
Yep,
and come running
yep,
out like a girl. Again,
yep,
not
yep.
really, but it's like, yeah, I don't see them being a person
Yeah,
of that
no. My
purpose.
tattoo guy said that he's seen women jump up in the chair and get these gnarly tattoos, and just sit there no problem, and then see some big old, hairy biker dude get up in there and
Yeah,
go to get a tattoo and pass
yeah.
out.
Yeah, something about Mike. He's just a little too baby faced for me to like see
Oh
him like
man,
being super
yeah,
super tough out there.
yeah,
But God bless him. I hope the best for him. I will say this: like Baron and Candace and these other like their investigation is so tight and so tough that
oh
like I
yeah,
even joke with Buddy Bear. I'm like, Buddy Bear, you mess up. Like Candace is about to investigate you, and he like, no,
yeah, yeah.
no, no, because man, they are killing it out there,
I'm
and
telling you, they're digging deep. Look,
you watched
going
the
back
last
over.
court. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the last court hearing. I know we were
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
bring that up.
yeah, yeah.
I was talking before. I kind of split it. I've watched all the way through the first part where they're talking about the continuance for the
Hmm.
motion,
Hmm.
and have been working on watching the part about the media and the expert witnesses. But on the let's talk real quick about the motion for extension for a continuance on the
Yeah.
preliminary hearing. Like, what are your initial thoughts on like? Do you think that the defense deserves it, or do you think that what's your call on it?
Well, see, I'm no legal expert.
Yeah,
I'm no attorney. I've heard both sides of it. That it's totally justified because of this mountain of evidence that got dumped on them. But then I've also heard too the other side of it, which is they were complaining about a pile and a mountain of evidence that does need to be gone through, but that doesn't need to be gone through before the
yeah,
the next
yeah,
hearing.
yeah,
So I'm not sure what exactly is at the end of the day. I mean, I understood a lot. I didn't
yeah, yeah,
understand a lot too. So I wasn't exactly clear on what exactly evidence wise they do need to have reviewed for that
yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, so and no, you framed it very very well. So I guess that I think you really framed the issue. I can help clear up for
There
people.
you
I
go.
guess. Yeah. So obviously, like I've said the whole time, the prosecutor's burden at this preliminary hearing isn't that high, right? And I think that's a lot of
Mhm.
the crux of their argument is that like we don't have to have evidence that complies with the rules of evidence per se. It's relaxed at this hearing, right?
Mhm.
And other things. And the controversy really comes down mostly to I think it was like the fifth like thing of evidence that they're talking about, but it's like the DNA and stuff like that. That's really where the
Mhm.
crux is at this time is the DNA evidence that they're saying is has or I forget how they word it in the information, but DNA consistent with his have been found on
Yes.
there. But it's
Yes.
one of these multi-match deals to where it's not just his DNA on it.
Right.
And so those are very complex DNA analysis. And so I guess the ultimate crux comes down to like, does the prosecutor even necessarily need that DNA evidence to meet their burden there? And I think that would be kind of their argument, but at the same
Yeah.
time, they did plead it right in the
Yeah.
information, and I think that a defendant has a right to challenge appropriately all
Right.
that evidence that's alleged. And so, yeah, it's with the DNA, and I'll say this last, it's like, and I'll say this for defense, like they did that DNA match before they did the information, which was like April 16th, right? So apparently they had
Yes.
done all their analysis to be able to make that conclusion and information. Well, that means all the information and stuff that the defense doesn't have for their expert, which they would need to appropriately challenge that.
Yeah.
They've apparently had it since September 16th. So
Right.
they're like,
Right.
yeah, it's
So it makes you wonder why
Mhm.
it's not accessible to them at this point, whether they actually need it or not at this point. But I guess the main question then is, um, And this next hearing will be the probable. No, I'm sorry. The probable cause hearing was what we just did, right?
No,
Wait.
no, no.
No, that was the preliminary hearing. I'm sorry. Probable cause is what's coming up, correct?
No, the probable cause is the preliminary hearing. No,
Okay.
what we
Wait a
just
minute.
saw, the first part of it, like I said, the defense had filed a motion to continue the preliminary hearing to a further
To
date.
continue, yes, and then about the cameras and stuff.
And then
also.
about the cameras,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So
That's right. That's right.
they had
Okay, so
tentatively set for May something. I can't remember, but it was very tentative. Like Judge had said the whole time, this is, we all have these schedules and blah, blah. So it was tentative.
yeah,
I think Judge, whenever the defense said they need 6 months in order for their experts to get the information and analyze it, which I have no, doubt or shade upon that. He's like, this is going to be quite a big continuance. Can we? So the judge does have some kind of significant questions to issue or to address. But here's one other thing to think about too, is that they didn't get an indictment, meaning they didn't go to a grand jury.
right. There was no
Right.
grand jury involved.
It's simply the prosecutor's sworn statement that has Tyler Robinson.
Right,
held
which means
against
that
his
there
will.
has been no evidence.
Exactly. There's been no
put before
independent
anybody.
arbiter, whether it be a
Right.
judge or a grand jury, that's had a look at this.
You're
Okay?
just
So,
going off of a sworn statement.
yeah. And with that being said, of course, whatever. Erica has this right to a speedy trial. She does, but it's much less recognized than a defendant's. And the way I see it is this.
Well, and look, you know what? One thing about it is that
Yeah.
is Utah. That is the Utah Constitution, and of course, our United States Constitution always trumps it. So at the end of the day, you got to consider that too.
Yeah, no. And the thing is that the way I see it is this: whether the prosecutor necessarily needs it 100% to meet their burden, because Tyler's the one in jail. If he wants to sacrifice 6 months still staying in jail,
Right.
in order for his attorneys and his experts to have sufficient time to really mount a solid defense at that hearing, which might free him if they do.
Yeah.
The way I see it in equity, I think that should trump it, to be quite
Well, and I
honest.
guess the biggest question I think that I've heard put forward out of all this is, what exactly is the purpose of the probable cause hearing? So what, it's not, so if it's not the actual trial, I mean, like what is the purpose of it? Why are they arguing back and forth over certain evidences and stuff? Like what are they going to do when this next hearing comes
Yeah,
up?
so it would be similar. So again, the standard would be similar to the prosecutor getting a warrant, right? Just having to show probable cause. And the purpose of it is to challenge whether he should be held against his will or not, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like a secondary warrant kind of hearing in that.
Are they going to make
right?
any decisions on what evidence is entered? I mean,
Generally, they won't make a decision right then, other than obviously the evidentiary standard. They're relaxed, right? So judge will pretty much take all evidence and then just use that really relaxed standard and in a sense view everything in light most favorable to the prosecution. But again, he's not going to make any pretrial rulings there as far as this is going to be admissible, this is not. That's done later, closer to trial, in what's called a motion in limine hearing. And that's where the judge will, the motions will be filed. He'll consider these evidentiary things and he'll make pretty much a tentative ruling on it where he'll say that's not going to be admissible. But the party who wants to admit the evidence still has to try to admit it at trial and get denied. So again, it's really just an advisory thing at the motion in limine. But again, back to this, that will not really go on at the preliminary hearing, other than we might get some indication by judge through the proceeding what he feels about certain types of evidence.
Right. Well, and one thing that I've thought of, I mean, it just I could be wrong, but it seemed like they were arguing because they got all these reports, they got the DNA reports, but like the defense was saying, they did not get the underlying stuff. They didn't get any of the digital forensic, how exactly they arrived at these conclusions. They didn't get any of that. So, And at the end of the day, they may not need that. I don't know whether for sure they're going to need that or not, but it's just like, well, okay, just because they're not going to need that at the probable cause hearing, if even if they don't need it, why could they not go ahead and have it and having it being examined now? So is there a reason why they want to cut them short on the time that they have to examine that evidence? Or
And that's a very good question. And that's another thing too. It's like, okay, they definitely have a right to do that before trial. They definitely have the right to do it before trial.
But do they have the right to even have it now? That's what I mean.
Well, that's kind of really the crux of the thing. And, my argument would be yes. And the reason why I say yes right now for sure is that these tests were conducted back in September. There's really no reason why the defense should not have that. And so with that being said, because of that, if I were the judge, I would say, okay, because of that, if defense wants 6 months and the defendant's willing to sit in jail for an extra 6 months to make sure his lawyers and experts are able to effectively challenge this, right? I say all day long, let them have it. Prosecution.
Here's the deal on
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, here's the deal on the DNA evidence.
Yeah.
So they're not building or putting anything together, no finishing touches. So they have conclusions. So they have conclusions which were based on certain, methods, metrics, what have you.
Right.
And so all that the defense is lacking is just the methods, how they came up with it. This is something they've had ever since day one because they needed that to come up with you know what I'm saying? So they have it. I just don't understand why they haven't turned it over yet. And what's strange to me too is it's not even a Utah thing, that the FBI and the ATF are the ones that are holding it.
That's the $1 million question, because again, like you say, and it's just real heinous to me that they would even hand over the report with the conclusions
without the underlying.
And intend to introduce that at this hearing.
Yeah.
But not hand over the underlying thing. And again, this is speculation, just my opinion. It seems to me like they want to win this preliminary hearing, no doubt about it, to keep him in jail, keep this narrative going. I'm not sure, but that's the only thing I can really surmise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it just seems like they should, if they've got it available, I can't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
If the point is for them to be able to look at this stuff and build a good case against, if extra time is going to hurt the prosecution's case, in my mind, then there's something not very bulletproof about the prosecution's case. If more time is going to weaken your argument, then there's some holes in your argument anyway. You're just hoping they don't have enough time to get to find the cracks.
You have to think about too, is that, Tyler Robinson's entitled to a speedy trial, which I think is like 180 or something days or something like that. You know what I mean? So if they don't have it, I think it's already been that amount of time, right? Like if they don't have it together by then, he could have speedy trialed it and perhaps got him. But
it sucks to sit in jail. But now with a case like this, I think I would rather sit in jail, just to be totally honest. I mean, it sucks. If you knew you did it, if you knew that, if you knew you did it, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of what your attorneys think or the world thinks, if you knew you did it, speedy trial me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in this case, again, it's like they haven't handed over. So it just makes me think, to be quite honest with you, that the purpose was, and again, it's just speculation, to make sure that they would be able to win this preliminary hearing to keep him in jail. Again, why? Only thing I can think of is, well, obviously the prosecutors want to win. I guess I'll put that out there. But this seems like a real stretch in tactics.
But again, to me, that means that their case to keeping him in jail and not, letting him out is not all that strong, or they wouldn't be worried about,
no, that's right. Yeah. Why would they sit on it like that unless they're, again, you're right. It seems to me if you do a DNA test and it's
I mean,
solid, I mean, again, you
Yep.
should only be testing it to get to the truth. If
Consistent
it's
with
solid,
can mean
you
a
just
lot.
hand it over.
Consistent with can mean a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just because it's consistent with, I promise you, if we were to be able to see the reports and
Look,
stuff like that,
I guarantee you my
realize that,
DNA
like,
is going to be consistent with every one of my kids.
exactly, man. Exactly.
I mean, really, right?
No, I agree. Yeah, I promise you that consistent with is not
That
strong language. And as a
no,
matter
no,
of
no, no.
fact,
They use those words intentionally.
yeah, but it's not. But again, it's not matched. It's not 100%.
No,
Right? It's
or they would have said
consistent with.
conclusively, not consistent with.
And let me say this too about the preliminary hearing. One thing that I've noticed is that pretty much every news outlet, every hearing where it's Tyler Robinson's defense, like asking for a continuance, like they hammer them for it. Oh my God, they're just taking so long. Justice will never be served, and all this. And so perhaps this was done, again, this is speculation, it's just my opinion, just a thought. Maybe it was done to force them to have to ask for a continuance and continue to beat them up in the media with that. Again, just speculation.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think, and that could be their plan, but it seems to me to be a bad plan because every single day that goes by nothing is helping the prosecution's case.
No, you're right. You're right.
There's nothing, whether be it what little little bit of so-called evidence they've put out, be it the news reports, be it the, just speculation from, whatever. None of it is helping the prosecution.
No.
And they don't seem to realize that. Even the defense doesn't seem to realize that. I mean, they talk about it every time people get on TV and talk about it, all the prejudice and everything that comes from that. But again, do you not go on the internet? I mean, nobody believes it. Nobody.
Well, and so that's
Gary
exactly
Melton does. Gary Melton and Bronson.
Yeah, before you came on, I was bringing up that exact issue. Yeah, I mean, I'll just admit, everyone in my kind of personal orbit outside the internet, I mean, everyone I've commune with here obviously believes, but like even people like my in-laws, stuff like that, even people in my personal orbit, like, yeah, they definitely think that something very fishy went on here,
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know the particulars. They're not invested in it. They're not going down all the rabbit holes, and they're not, okay, but they still say, yeah, but it just don't seem right.
That's right.
It sounds like bullshit to me. I mean, all it takes is anybody that's ever shot a gun to hear, oh, he got shot with a 30-06 in his neck, no exit, and yet they only have a bullet fragment. So did the rest of it disintegrate in midair before it got there? Yeah. So,
But then you go back to as well, though. You're like, okay, well, if that happened, well, then it would have been where they paved over.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't think anything at this point is hurting the defense.
It's really not. No, it's not. And in that way, though, I'll say that that's why I agree with, if they want a continuance, give it to them, because Never's hurting up. This is the first time that they're able to like really show up and potentially do something very meaningful for their client, get them released. That's why I also kind of am siding with them on the continuance, because I think they're asking for it because they believe that they can show up and potentially actually get him off.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it. Like I said, there is no reason for the prosecution to hold anything back other than they're afraid by doing it. That's going to help.
And you think that, they have legal obligations to disclose this. And that's why, because trust me, if the prosecution themselves would have been holding on to that evidence not disclosed, there would have been a big issue with the court, right? There would have been a huge issue.
Yeah.
But because it's the federal partners, as they say, that are holding it, and they don't have physical possession on it, well, then it's kind of like a third party issue, and it shouldn't be that way, right?
No,
I mean, I still think that the prosecution should get dinged for it, because y'all have labs too.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
if the government don't want to give you their stuff, why don't you take it and do your own test? I mean, maybe I'm
You
out
would
of
think
bounds
they
thinking
could,
that, but just
unless they don't have the evidence.
well, that's the thing too. It's like, man,
Do
with
y'all
the
not have
bullet,
the physical evidence?
yeah, with the bullet fragment too, wanting to retest it, which that's still a live issue. They said in the hearing the other day, so that's still a live issue whether they're going to allow the feds to do a secondary test on the bullet fragment or
Right,
not.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there again, I mean, just like we know at least with the DNA and the gun evidence, we know that that's in the Fed's hands, and
yeah,
obviously the state of Utah does not have that, or it don't sound like they've got access to it.
no, I think
So
the feds have those bullet fragments right now, holding it pending the judge deciding whether he's going to let them secondary and potentially destructive test it. One thing that's
what I don't
interesting,
understand is why the Feds haven't at least turned it over to the prosecutors.
well, because they want, remember now it's the FBI is wanting to do a
Oh
secondary,
yeah, for sure. I
secondary
guess they
test
don't
on it,
want to.
Adam.
I guess they don't want to turn loose of two, conflicting results. You know what I mean? Like
Man,
they're gonna hang on to it till they get the answer that they want.
and another thing too, I was looking at the report on my live the other night. Apparently there were other smaller fragment we've been talking about isn't technically the only fragment, but
Right?
the way I'm reading into it, it's the only one big enough for any kind of
Yeah.
testing,
No,
right? And
you got the
another, when I
jacket
looked at what
fragment, and
Barrett
then
showed, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of super small fragments.
well, according to the report, there was according to the report there was one bullet jacket fragment, and there were how do words work? There was one bullet jacket fragment, and then there were 4 lead fragments. And
Okay.
so, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, look, I know all about the lead fragments. I mean,
Yeah.
and that could, you're going to get those. But to me, just because they have those doesn't mean anything. They could have got those from anywhere.
No. I mean, I had already, and I'd spoken on my,
And it sounds crazy to mention that, to even bring that up, but why would they? Would they go that far? I mean, well, look at this other. I mean, look at the rest
yeah,
of it.
I'll say this: my lawyer senses went off when I heard Brian Harpole in that interview with Sean Ryan say that he had manipulated the
Yeah,
wound by
yeah,
shoving gauze in it. Like, just as a trial lawyer, right, I'm used to like chains of custody, especially with medical type evidence. Like in bodies, like everything needs to be logged, chain of custody, what tests were done. And so when you hear about a non-official, like non-EMS, non-doctor, like not messing with something like that,
there should be a
normally maybe it
count on
wouldn't
how
raise a
many
bunch of
gauze.
suspicion, but in this case it did. And so here in Barron last night, just again got my gears going a little bit.
Yeah.
Admittedly.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, there should be a count on exactly how many of what got used in what way. I would think.
Yeah, well, again, it's like when you do an autopsy, anything done in the medical office is meticulously
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I
noted,
say
right? Yeah.
you need to have a pretty solid accounting on what exactly you did. That
Yeah.
way when they do the autopsy,
Yeah.
they can factor all that in.
Yeah.
Um,
Because when someone outside of, like, again, Brian Harpole didn't do this out there in front of the cameras.
no,
Or,
nobody ever
in
saw
front of a
him do
medical
this.
personnel. Like, apparently he did it on the road. So it's like, what did he do?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing about it. He claimed that he did that. Now, nobody witnessed this. I've seen no videos, pictures, or anything that suggests that happened.
Mhm.
Now, he always has the argument that once they got in the vehicle, he did. Whatever, maybe so. But just because I know, did you notice the piece of gauze in the one picture? There was a piece of bloody gauze in one of those pictures.
Yeah, I sure
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
So
Brandon pointed
again,
out.
what does that? I mean, what does that prove? I mean, he could have easily pulled a couple pieces of gauze out of his pack and just stuck them in the seat and then threw them in the floor. I mean, like, really, I mean, it sucks to
Yeah.
have to think that way, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really mean anything. Oh, see, there's a piece of bloody gauze. See, he did pack the wound. Maybe he did,
Yeah.
maybe he didn't.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. It's like, and this is just kind of a general, not, I mean, I would never think to like pack it. I would think to maybe like obviously put it and try to stop the bleeding as much as possible. But
Yeah.
like packing a wound as a non-physician in a potentially life-threatening wound like
Well,
that.
I
Like,
mean, I know Valhalla's talked about that because, best I remember, he said he was a medic. Either that or you had a medic
yeah, I
off.
think he was a medic. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
but
he was.
with that type of wound, I mean, short of getting in there with a what do you call them? Closes the thing off. What do you call those
Oh,
things?
yeah, like a
Um,
cauterizer or
you know what people smoke the little when they get down to the when you get down to the roach.
roach clip.
What do you call it? My God, my mind is just going blank.
Yeah, I know what the forceps or the
Forceps,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Short of going in there with some of those and clamping it off, I mean, there's not a whole lot else you can do to keep something like
Yeah,
that
what they
from
call
bleeding.
cauterizing the wound or something like that, where you like kind of
Cauterizing is where you use heat.
or okay.
Yeah. But anyway, short
Yeah.
of going in there and using some mechanical, something to close it off, I guess packing it's the only thing you can do. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm no medical professional. None of this is medical
Yeah,
advice.
I like again, I had suspicions, just my personal suspicions that like there might have been because obviously none of us really believe what we saw looks like a
No.
30-06 shot. I
Nope.
mean, maybe a gun, maybe,
No.
but like, and so I've always been thinking before we had any autopsy results or bullet fragment, I was thinking if there is something like that in there, it definitely could have gotten in there outside of the actual event that we saw.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And so when Barron was bringing this up, it was like, not
Yep.
again, I didn't draw any hard conclusions, but I definitely could indulge a little bit further in that direction. Right.
Well, and I think if you were probably I've not confirmed this myself, but I bet you if you do a little Google search and check on different metals and materials that are in just like electronic, circuitry and all that, I'd say you could probably come up with some lead in there somewhere. And I could be wrong on that, but I've always said that, any of
So
that
you're
stuff
thinking
in
if
my
it was the mic that there might have
could
been
still
lead.
possibly be. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I mean,
No, I mean, yeah,
it's not out of the realm of possibility. But it's like when I was talking to ADN the other night, American Discourse News. When we were talking, I had said, it would be so easy to stage something like that. I mean, like if you're a hunter or, I mean, whatever, you got something coming up, you go pop one, you go to, and look, I've cleaned up many of them after being killed.
Yeah.
And you'll pick out shards and, pieces from everywhere.
Oh, you're
And
talking
so-
about when you shoot a deer or something?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. And you want to get that out before you eat it,
Right. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, like it would be no trouble at all to pick out a little piece of piece of the jacket fragment, whatever. It would be no problem at all to have something like that ahead of time.
Couldn't you also shoot ballistic gel or something like that and then pick out some of the
It will
or does it
will
need
fragment
to hit bone or
some, but
something to fragment
to
out
really,
like that?
to really fragment. Yeah.
Something pretty hard.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing with Charlie is, people have said the thing should have just blown straight through. I mean, yeah, it might leave some little tiny pieces in there, but
Yeah.
there shouldn't have really been anything there to cause it to.
Because even the bone for a 30-06 bullet would be fairly easy to just slice through like butter, more or less.
Yeah, people were shooting, cow femurs and stuff,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And then for Gary Melton, whenever this is brought up to his attention, Gary Melton's like, yeah, but these guys got out there and just shot pieces of meat and bone, not at all an accurate representation.
No, it's a more intense representation.
That's what I'm thinking. Way over. Yeah. If you want to know what it's going to happen when it hits flesh and bone, that's way of an over representation to me.
That's right. Yeah. No.
I mean, like, good Lordy. Man. You're talking about a spine that is literally, it's not solid. Each individual vertebra has a little disc
And
in
Gary's
between,
an expert in
and it's got a
firearms,
whole.
isn't he?
Oh
Doesn't
yeah,
Gary
yeah.
have his own firearms
Yep.
like training and stuff like
Oh,
that?
and he's
Like, that's
done
his
gone
business?
after Valhalla now. I don't know if you saw that episode or not, but yeah, he's done gone after him, called him a liar, did a whole segment on him. Yeah, so
Is
he's
Gary ex Special Forces?
yeah, he was a Green Beret just like
Like, you know, and
Valhalla
now we
was.
have like Green Berets arguing, like going at one another. And I'm not saying that
Yeah,
he's not after Gary, but like, you know, like it's going way too far, man. Like it
yeah, yeah.
can't. And the thing is that dude. And I played Rob O'Neill's statements the other night, actually on Newsmax. It was so surprising, but like you know, he's out there now. Like no, you know,
And hey,
this,
SEALs are the best of the best, supposedly. I mean,
and
not
yeah,
taking anything away from Green Berets or any other special
no,
forces, but I
and they're
mean,
offended. You know what I mean? Like them, and then the Brigadier General from the Air Force that they were both on the Newsmax thing. Like they both were like, we're offended that they would put this out there, like this is
yeah,
the narrative,
yep,
knowing
yep.
that there's people like us. And I'll say this, I don't think it necessarily takes a Navy SEAL, not to throw any shade on
No,
them, but you know, like,
no,
but especially
no.
them, they're like, they know that
What?
we
Hey,
know
what did
better.
he say?
Like
What
we're
did he say? Something about something to the effect of, we all know that we all know what we saw, you know.
that's right.
And
That's right.
basically, he said something exploded under his shirt. Did he not?
He didn't know. No, he certainly did. Yeah,
Yeah,
he said, I've never seen a shirt act like that after all the people I've shot.
I'm pretty sure he even said something to the effect of something. It appeared something exploded under his shirt.
Yeah, he did. He said he had killed like 10 to 14 people or something like that. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, he's
no, I've
correct.
never seen a shirt act like that. You know, I mean, again, these are people who've seen this stuff real life. You know what I mean? And he said too, I've shot someone way closer than what this would have been or what those
Right.
cameras on Charlie were. And he said, I just never seen something like that. And you know, and then he said actually he interpreted what we saw up here as an exit wound.
Yes, he did. And I think that I don't know. I don't know how deep he's looked into it.
Yeah,
At a glance, to me, I mean, it does look more like an
it
exit
would
wound than
look
an
more
entrance
like an exit
wound.
wound.
So
It would, except you know, also too, it like it doesn't go out. It's very weird. You know, like that's the thing. It's like
yeah,
an exit wound would have been like blown out like that, obviously, but like that just kind of appears, and oh, it's really weird.
yeah.
It's really
At a
weird.
glance, it does look more like an exit wound than an entrance wound. But I think that he probably, if he really looked into it and really gave his honest opinion, I believe that he would probably.
And maybe that's what he meant to say is it looks more like an exit than entry wound. And in that sense, you know, again, towards the whole thing, like that's still a statement, you know, against, you know, what we're saying, right? They're like, this was not a 30-06 from the front. So even if he thinks that is an exit wound, it definitely would go against the narrative that it was an entrance wound from a 30-06 at the front, right?
Right. Yep.
Man.
And he's maintained from day one that it ain't right. You know, I've not heard him say exactly what he thinks, what he thinks did happen, but he has said from day one that it's not right.
Yeah, you know, again, like I've said, you know, I think our natural tendency and indulgence into wanting to come to some firm conclusion on what did happen was intended by the people that are doing it. You know what I mean? Like I do. I think that focusing on Tyler Robinson, get him off while this other stuff's going on, then we switch over to like who's ultimately responsible. Because I think what they're just, again, my opinion, speculation, they're relying on us getting at each other's throats about eventually what absolutely did happen.
Oh yeah,
enough to
always.
Where Tyler Robinson gets the bad end of the stick. And the next thing we know, we're cut off because, oh, well, he's been convicted or he's not listening, you know, whatever that is.
Right.
And Rob O'Neill and them did express fear. And even the Newsmax correspondent, I think Finnerty, he expressed fear that Tyler Robinson might not make it.
Yeah,
at least impliedly he did. I feel.
Yep. No, he did.
Because they were harking back to, you know, Lee Harvey Oswald and Jack Ruby. You know what I mean? Like situation like that. It's
hope he don't get Jack Rubied.
Man.
Hey, I'm going to I'm not leaving you. I'm just right here. I'm fixing to play this clip and see.
Yeah, go for it. Here, you need me to you're good.
Well, not yet. I'm just going to play it and find the correct spot. Once I do, then we'll we'll put it on there.
Oh, and the last thing too, they ended that segment about the Pennsylvania with Trump. The where was it? Basically his assassination attempt. They're like, oh, we got questions about that too.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, dude. And there's one, our greatest ally. They're really good about these whole assassination things, like both real and phony. Using that for whatever various purposes. Just things that I've learned in the past that they've been involved with.
Right. Well,
No, but Rick said Butler. Yeah, you're right, Rick. Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Well, it's sad, but what we've learned over the years about anything that gets told. So any of their stories, we've learned that you can't take them at face value for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I think I found at least the roundabout spot. So let's see. Yeah, and share. All right. Just let me know when you get that.
There you go.
There it is. All right, let's see.
Another day. That's it.
Yeah. Let's see what they say.
Thanks for having me, Rob, and good to see you, General Holt.
You too.
A lot of things it bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. And it's not like I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started.
Did we hear that?
Doing first aid.
You took it. Let's see. I tried to back it up just a little bit, and I went, okay. Here we go. Let's hear that
like
again.
I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been.
Hold on, just for dramatic effect.
Yeah, you got to do you, bro.
Yeah. All right, let's see here.
Yeah, Susan, this was a good interview. I thought so myself.
I thought it was, just because, for one, he verified validated John Bray, I think.
In a lot of shootings, I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me.
That looks like an explosion to me.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody clip that out and do a short.
Coming from a guy who knows a little bit about shape charges, right?
Yes. He knows a little bit about shooting folks, about what bullets do, and about explosions. He knows a lot about explosions. So there it is, guys.
Yeah.
John Bray, you were validated.
Well, yeah, by them for sure. Yeah, I and again, I've always appreciated John Bray's work. In the whole context of like potential theories of what happens, like his has always made some sense to me. Again, not saying it's 100% correct.
Well,
but
he's went deeper and further into his, he's went a lot further to prove out his theory than most people do.
I agree too. Yeah. And so just, here's the deal. Just in that alone, I respect John because, it shows that he obviously cares. He told us before that interview that like, he has no dog in this fight in the sense that he's not like, hoping his theory wins or whatever. He just really trying to get to the truth. I feel like we all are. And so, in that, I do feel like he does, even just listening to his theory sheds light on so much other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that whole process. So I've always just found it helpful listening to him myself.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm a big fan. I think he's done a lot of good work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, he's like I say, man, he and as a lawyer dealing with experts, like I told him, it's like normally you're looking for people with credentials and stuff, but like certain times there's people who by their training experience, come to be of an expert caliber. And I mean, just his presentation in this,
Oh yeah.
If that was all the jury had to go by to like accept him as an expert, I think he could.
I think he
could be accepted as an expert. I do.
That's right. Hey, I don't know if you want to look at the chat or what have you, but I'm going to go off camera for just like 1 minute and I will be right back.
Yeah. I'll look at the chat. Going back up the chat a little bit, y'all. Good to see everybody. Brett Booth, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Go back up here. Let's see. What'd you say here, Rick? Something about, did you see Blake Neff and Andrew's face after Andrew Burkhart told them trial won't start till early 2028 in her estimation? No, but if you can provide a link to wherever that is, I would love to see it. Just my opinion, y'all. Just my opinion. Yeah, I think for them, every day that this thing is not concluded and swept under the rug is what we say, like Mexican sweat. You know what I mean? Like they are sweating bullets out there. Just my opinion. Again, my opinion, my perspective. And again, I've said this too. I think a lot of stuff they say on the Charlie Kirk show now is a lot of self-serving stuff, especially as it relates to this case. What Debbie says, I feel sorry for the prosecution team because the only expert witness are going to be able to get through the rifle is Gary. Gary's their only expert witness that thinks that report matches the matches the bullet. Oh man. Susan says, Debbie, do you think they're going to call Gary's an expert witness? No, Miss Susan, I don't think seriously they are, but I think that Debbie did make kind of a good point that like the only person we could, I guess, somewhat consider an expert, Gary, is the only one that's like, and I haven't listened to Gary's show in a long time, but I'm imagining that he's part of this crowd that we talked about last live stream, right? With Officer Tatum and them that are trying to equate bullet fragment could be in the 30 caliber class with, oh, this matches Tyler Robinson's rifle. I mean, you can't make it up. I don't know if Gary's in that camp. Maybe Adam knows when he gets back on, but it's just such, again, I think I expressed this last live stream, just such intellectual dishonesty. I don't think a rational adult human being could make that mistake unintentionally of equating what's in that report to, hey, this matches or confirms that Tyler Robinson's rifle took the shot. I just don't. And, I played Valhalla's video last time. I agree with them wholeheartedly and all that, yeah, I don't really see an innocent explanation to equating, or I might say conflating what's in the ATF report with, oh yeah, this matches Tyler Robinson's rifle, or even a 30-06, right? We talked about that too. Let's see. KTISM, KTism. It's a weird situation because, yeah, okay, here we go. K-Tism, good to have you, by the way. God bless you. It's a weird situation because it's a state case, but the feds are doing the ballistics investigation. So I'm sure, look, it's not the normal course of business, but I'll just tell you in my experience, I've actually been an expert at least one state case where the federal government did the drug testing, right, where they tested the substances and had people testify on a number of different issues. So these kind of interstate and federal cooperation on cases happen sometimes. So it's not weird in that way. But what is weird, though, again, as Adam and I have been discussing, is that there's not a healthy evidence flow going, meaning that they're doing the testing, but they're not like handing over the stuff for the defense to do their testing. That is the most weird aspect of it. And, just from my experience, normally like they did here, allegedly they did these tests like almost immediately. And so again, the evidence should have been turned over in a reasonable period of time after that. And it wasn't. And that seems to be the weird thing. And weird considering a lot of the external circumstances, the extraneous circumstances, right, of kind of how sketchy, just in my opinion, the Fed has been about this whole thing, starting with Kash Patel, right? So like, yeah, especially when you take it in that total context, for sure, not the most normal situation. So yeah, because it's why is the Fed's involved in a state case? That's a good question. I mean, obviously it was a high profile case. Normal, and again, them doing the testing and stuff like that's not necessarily abnormal. But just understand that, yes, a lot of times the feds do get involved in a state case, especially if like, and what normally happens, and I guess they could say happened here, is that like at the beginning, the feds think they're in, and I don't know why the feds didn't bring this case, just saying. But anyways, the feds will start investigating, thinking that they are going to pick up the case, and eventually don't. But by that time, they've already collected the evidence, done the testing and stuff like that. I mean, I'm assuming that's what happened here. But again, I don't know if it's just a simple matter of, oh, we just figured out we didn't want this case. There again, speculation might have been other reason why the feds got so early involved and deeply involved in this, and maybe we're seeing that kind of play out in front of us, and maybe it's not looking too good for them. Just speculation. Let's see. My dog 3X. Prosecution should be seeking truth and justice, not victory. Yeah, man, you said a real mouthful there. Oh, you said a real mouthful there. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that should be on this case too. And to be honest with you, I think all attorneys, to a large degree, officers of the court and judges, should be there to seek the truth and justice, and not necessarily victory. I realize we are in an adversarial system, so there's going to be some of that wanting to seek a victory there. But again, I would hope and pray that all lawyers really come back to the true purpose of what we do is to get to the truth and seek justice under the law. Right. What up, Adam?
Right with you. 30 more seconds. I was going to say, I just had another one come down with it earlier. So got another one sick, but yeah.
Oh, another baby sick, man. I hate that.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good. Let's see. Debbie says, which leads us back to the same thing they did to Saddam Hussein back in Desert Storm. Man, I wish I could. Debbie, I wish I had some more context to that. Let's see. So Rick says, back to the kind of what we would call federalism, right? The balance of powers between the state and federal government. We call it federalism. So these questions about the feds being involved in state case, I would put that under the kind of the constitutional, like, federalism thing. But Rick says political sides, but state law case. Tyler didn't cross state lines, but FBI helping. Yeah, and we could go on and on about whether the feds have jurisdiction here. I mean, I would say this. To the extent that they're alleging that there were these Discord groups and people presumably across state and perhaps international borders involved.
Yeah, I got thoughts on that.
Yeah, they could have easily picked it up, I believe. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, besides that, yes, that is true. I mean, there's no telling how many different states if you start figuring in the Discord. But besides
if it's a real Discord, right?
Yeah, there's that too. But putting all that aside, they said from the get-go that this was based on his stance on the trans thing, and that somebody that was a big supporter of the whole trans ideology, took him out for that very reason. What is the definition of terrorism? I mean, it's acts of violence. Meant to
strike fear in a larger population.
But it's political, correct? I mean, some type of political.
Yeah. I mean, that's within the
political or religious, or some type of political or religious
when you strike a political leader or someone politically, it's I guess insinuated that it's going to affect the whole population.
Right. And though he was not elected. I mean, you're talking about one of the president of the United States.
Yeah, he was definitely
closest advisors. Leader. Yes, he was definitely a political figure. So I feel like, justified or not, I feel like they could have easily taken jurisdiction or at least been more involved.
And no court would have gotten in their way, I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a court in the country that would have gotten in their way.
No. And I don't think the defense attorneys would have argued against it. No. I just think that
would we have had a better outcome so far? Who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that it's, would have helped things or hurt things or what. But I do see how they could have, been more involved, or at least, At least by all appearances, I'd say that they were plenty involved. Yeah, it just seems like they've been trying to, downplay their involvement to me.
And, I think so, just some consideration that just ran through my mind is that if they had taken it federal, Tyler would have had access to probably much more resources to fight the case and access to a whole plethora palette of very, very qualified death penalty. Not
Probably,
saying that
but
these attorneys aren't necessarily, but obviously at the federal, you open it up to
probably had a more
nationwide.
comfortable bed too.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes the Fed put their people in the same like county jail as the county people. At
Just
times.
depending on what. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, because Rikers Island isn't technically a federal facility, right? I mean, that's actually New York, ain't it?
yeah, and I mean, that's a New York State prison, and
Yeah, but I know that the feds use it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, normal Fed facilities. So obviously, a high security Fed facility is not going to be a fun experience. But generally, federal penitentiary at the lower tiers is actually much easier time to do.
Yes,
generally
that's
people
what
who
I've
go
heard
to Fed
anyway.
are
I'm
less
not gonna.
violent and have better to do. Like it just normally Fed is going to be a better experience. Although you're going to do more time in the federal penitentiary, right?
Yeah. Because if you end up there, you're talking federal charges, and they always try to make a point.
Yeah, and I think you have to do. It used to be there was no parole in the federal system. Now I think you have to do maybe at least 80% of your time. Don't quote me on that. But usually Fed time is straight time. You're gonna do it.
And look, at the end of the day, they're all private. State prison, federal penitentiary. I don't know, maybe not the federal, but I know all the state ones are private run.
They are private, dude. They are private.
They're private run. It's just contractors is all it is.
Yes. Which brings up a whole host of questions and potential rabbit holes and conspiracy theories.
Yeah. It sucks. It sucks what they've done to us now. Every single aspect of every single thing in our lives we have to look at. And
Did you hear, one thing that Trump's done lately that I definitely agree with? That was good. He signed the executive order on psychedelic research at Joe Rogan's behest. Joe Rogan in the White House the other day, he said it. He said, and it's true, like these psychedelics, like even when they made them illegal, like the scientific research definitely did not dictate that result, but he did it to like go after the hippies and the anti-war left.
I was going to say there was a reason. For it.
It's completely political.
Look here, the government was planning marijuana in all like the medians between the like in the medians and down the highways and stuff. Like they were planting the shit till they realized,
Yeah.
Like
I had an LSD case, and in doing it, I had been talking to people in the public about their feeling. MK Ultra, where the government force fed LSD to these people a lot of times unwillingly. Like
high doses.
People get real offended by that, and like when I would say, but they want to stop my client from using LSD, but like the only people dangerously using LSD is the government. Like that resonated with people, man. They were like, that's right. Like,
at least these people are taking it to their own, their own free will, and
man.
They have a choice on the dosing and everything.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to get through a bad trip if you like know you're about to have one and that you actually did something.
I took some LSD. I'm having a bad trip, but if they're giving it to you, they were trying to make people think they were crazy. So it worked well.
And so back to what we were saying is like the government on some of these laws and stuff in the prison system, right? And obviously, I think probably just my opinion, what happened is that with all the drug people coming in, a lot of those privatized prison, the people were like, oh, this could be a moneymaker, because of all this. And so, that's a good question. I'm going to look at the history of how that happened.
Back in the 90s when Joe Biden was,
dude, he's the worst offender, man.
I know. Yeah,
I'm definitely not an advocate of the drug laws, and I think that there's been
he was a big proponent of 3 strikes and
he was one of the people who pushed for the law where it's like rock cocaine is treated 6 times as harsh as powder cocaine. It's like it makes absolutely no sense. Like
absolutely.
a lot of people suffered because of it, and again, not saying that everybody was doing good that was doing that, but there are actually some non-violent drug offenders that were just doing like adult to adult peaceful
Yeah, but you still get the same charge. It makes no difference.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
it makes no difference what what the context of it was. And if it's illegal, it's illegal. But there's a big difference in, hey, I'm doing drugs by myself at home,
That's
or
right.
I've got it. I'm doing drugs at home, but I've got it laid out, all
That's
over the
right.
place, and I got kids running around endangering my kids and
right.
whatever. There's a whole lot of context,
a lot of nuance to it.
Nuance,
right?
exactly.
Nuance that's missed in the drug laws for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're, again, we're just seeing that there is a two or multi-system layer or multi-layers to our justice system, right? Where it's like certain people get to slide by and other people suffer. And, and that goes from the macro to the micro, like from Farnsworth grabbing the SD cards, right?
Yeah.
And then we can work up from there to Epstein, and it's like, it's just really showing now. And I think that it's one of the issues that all Americans can kind of rally behind is like, hey.
Oh, Farnsworth had to get them. He used them same. He had his kid's birthday party on them cards. Like he had to. Yeah.
Oh man.
He had to extract that before he turned them over.
Yeah. And I did that live stream or that video too, where like, a couple days later, they actually arrested some guy who was out there just like taking pictures at the crime scene.
I didn't realize that till you said that. Yeah.
And again, it's like, where are we living? What universe are we living in? It's like somebody comes a couple days later, take a picture of the crime scene, yet someone literally took.
Yeah, if you're TPUSA
crime scene and like hauled ass with them, like
if you're TPUSA or TPUSA adjacent, no questions asked.
Yeah,
carte blanche. I mean, like
the thing with Erica Kurt, like not showing up with JD Vance the other day.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And
by all appearances was in the building.
I can't believe they're still legitimately trying to push her as like a presidential candidate after all the bad press that's going on.
And nobody's come out and said it, but you can tell everybody always knows when somebody's getting ready to run just because of all the stuff that's happening around them and, just the way they're projected. And, yeah, there's no doubt that they've got that in mind. And it just seems like somebody would have got the hint by now.
I don't think, unfortunately,
nobody
I don't think
wants
they
her.
have. Yeah.
No.
And people keep saying about the Blake Neff in them on the Charlie Kirk show, like that whole thing there, they just consistently harbor. And another good comment, their face apparently when they figured out, I think Andrea Burkhart told them that it wouldn't be till like 2028.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw it. Yeah, that was hilarious. I thought Blake Neff was going to cry.
I mean,
there's another case in point though. Talking about Terrell pulling the cards out in front of God and everybody on camera, and then somebody comes the next day to take pictures and gets arrested. Well, what about this gag order? I mean, if you think for a minute, and they've even hinted around to as much, but if you think for a minute that Blake Neff is not under a gag order, or that Andrew Colvett, well, what do they talk about every single day?
I would imagine Andrew Colvett for sure, just in the sense that he showed up to the hospital, if I'm correct, which technically would have still been part of like being at the crime scene in a sense.
I'm pretty sure he has alluded to the fact that he has said several times there's certain things that we can't talk about or blah, 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 and I would think if he was not directly addressed, I think if somebody would go ask the judge, hey, what about Blakey Pooh here? I'm pretty sure he would be like, yeah, he's included. I mean, like, he literally day to day, he sits there in a chair beside him, I mean, like he's close enough to it. I would think that he would be, and I mean, he was there that day. He was there when he quote unquote when he got taken down. I mean, he was standing there under the tent.
Blake Neff was there?
Yeah. Was he not? Yes, he was. Remember Blake Neff speed? He outrun Mikey McCoy.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah,
That's right. He was
yeah.
there. Yeah, so
I
definitely
guarantee.
he's covered
Yeah,
by
he'd be
that.
a.
He's definitely
I would
covered
think
by
so.
the gag
But
order.
yet, day in and day out, they get out there and they talk, and nothing gets said. Nothing, But you know, yeah, they can't taint the jury pool. It doesn't matter if the jury pool gets tainted against the defendant.
Well, I was looking before the show. I took like an hour to start going through the expert testimony on the media front, and I started listening to the expert that Tyler's attorneys put up there, and
Mm-hmm.
he was cycling through some of the early press coverage with a specific emphasis on what they were looking at was that early on there were a lot of hearings like his arraignment and the initial appearance and stuff like that where no evidence was taken, no evidence,
No, and there was no defense really.
anything like that. Yet the news coverage, all they talked about were like the text messages and all this, like
Yeah.
as if there was some issue with that evidence, and talking about like it's very valid. Like, man, I was a little bit surprised. I guess I missed that early on. But it's a lot of very prejudicial.
Did you hear about Elizabeth Lane catching him, in the hallway when that day when they were having that hearing?
No, what happened?
You know who Elizabeth Lane is, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The journalist.
Yeah. So she's the one that caught she was the one asking the question. I'm not sure who actually recorded it, but got the recording of the granddaddy talking. You heard that, right?
Oh, of Tyler's granddad?
Yeah.
No, what did it say?
Okay. Well, let me go back to where I started from, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah. So, anyway, she caught him coming out, and she said that she was curious, and so she asked him, because he had been talking to looking at all the different news people and some of the more prominent podcasters, and taking all these case studies or what have you, to come up with a whatever to come up with his conclusion on what the coverage is doing for the case. Anyway, she asked him about Candace. Did you look at Candace or did you talk to Candace or something like that? Said he looked at her and said, "No, I don't do crazy, or I don't do crazy. I don't do kooky," or something to that effect. And she thought, wow. She's like, you. She thought this, didn't say it, but like you're way off base if you're not going to consider, Candace Owens and her base, because you're talking about over 5 million or whatever it is subscribers. I mean, 200,000 sometimes on a live stream. I mean, and that's funny that they would not even consider her and her audience.
And maybe that tells us a little bit more about a potential jury there. I mean,
right.
I think we all think we're talking sense and stuff like that. And I think we are, right? But there's probably people in Utah who are completely either against anything that's not congruent with what their governor is telling them, or just generally against, like you say, Candace. They think she's kooky or whatever.
Anti-Candace. Well, if I was on, and I'm sure surely to God they will, whether the expert witness took it into account or not, I would say that probably both the defense and the prosecution are probably both going to mention her directly when they're picking the jury. I mean, that's just my guess. I would hope so.
Yeah,
I would think they would want to mention her as much as, if not more than knowing family or relatives. You know what I mean? She's got a huge reach, huge reach.
I would ask about that in the president's comments to the president and the governor. I would ask about that press conference, if they heard it, what were their thoughts. That's probably going to be most of the voir dire is going to be considered probing for potential media bias in these people.
Well, and so the other thing that I was asking, you've heard, so it was I just happened to catch that comment. Brett, I think you're right. I think you're right. Nobody ever said, but I'm pretty sure it's probably Brandy. It makes sense that it would have been. But Brandy from Brandy and Billy.
Yeah, Brandon Bill.
Yeah, so her and Elizabeth Lane were both there at the hearing, and so the big narrative lately, the really big push, well, actually, since the get go, has been he confessed. Even his own family thinks he did it. They saw the pictures, the video, the gun. They recognized him. They just knew he did it, so they turned him in. Turned him in is the term they always use.
Yeah.
And I've always stressed that there is a huge difference between turning someone in and helping to facilitate a safe, whatever transfer to, you know what I mean? To get it worked out in the system, whatever. To me, that has never said directly that they recognized him and or if they thought he did it.
Yeah.
She caught the granddaddy out in the, she caught the granddaddy like during one of the breaks. And so, she started a little conversation with him, and yeah, you have to get on X and find that. It's not hard to find. She asked him, who he was there for, what have you, and maybe who he was. But anyway, he said that they were there for Tyler, and said they were there just to show support, or just to support. And she was like, well, I know you probably know this, but I really feel like they framed your grandson. And he was like, yeah, absolutely, absolutely they did, or we think they did. And so that kind of flies in the face of, like, if his parents were 100% convinced that he did it, you would think the grandparents would kind of be on the same page. And especially since this is the guy that allegedly owned that rifle that was used in this, and he thinks that he got framed. And besides that, he said that his daddy was a cop and they used to go deep into ballistics, and that he'd also, used a 30-06 a bunch, and that there is no way.
That's what the granddad said?
No way he could have used that gun and had that outcome or effect.
Wow.
So, yeah, you'll have to find that. That's
I wrote it down here. I'll definitely go look it up. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, yet he doesn't want to listen to Candace. I mean, I guess in the sense that maybe.
But that's his own family. Obviously, the family doesn't think he did it.
Yeah. So, maybe they're just most concerned about getting them off. Maybe they think that Candace is off on a tangent. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and what I've always said from day one is, yes, okay, so they got subpoenaed. They're going to testify for the prosecution, for the state. I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to get up there and say, yes, the video, the picture looked identical, and I just knew it was my son.
Yeah.
And the way he'd been acting, I just knew it was him. That doesn't mean they're going to get up there and say that. They may get up there and say, look, the name floated around. Yeah, in the picture, there are some physical, similarities or what have you, and then with all the other, we decided that, just to be safe, that we would help him get there and get this sorted out. Like that's a far cry from, we were convinced that he did it. He told us he did it. We believed him. And they're just because they're testifying for the state doesn't mean they're actually going to testify against Tyler.
I think the state there probably are some facts they would testify to that the state would try to use, obviously to support their case, but that doesn't mean that their full testimony is going to be favorable. And obviously, just so people realize, is that the state, if they're calling a witness, they get them on direct, meaning that they get to define what areas of inquiry are inquired upon, and that on cross, you can't really go outside of that. Right. Now, the defense could call them in their case on direct and go further into it. But
look, I know how this works, though. I know how this works. If you can get that answer out there, or that question out there, and maybe possibly even get an answer, just because they say object doesn't mean that they didn't hear it.
Well, it's going to be in front of a judge too. So judge, you can object at hearings like that, but again, because the rules of evidence are pretty relaxed, judge isn't going to go like too far deep into.
You know what I'm saying? though? They bend those rules a little bit. I always love it when the judge says, "All right, jury, you can't consider that." Like, okay, we won't. I mean, they heard it,
Yeah, no, that's right. There's been a many mistrials because of that, right? Because some things that come out are so prejudicial, and like, even asking it and getting any kind of response like can do it. But yeah, I mean, they still, you go for it. I mean, it's not like you're gonna like lose your bar license for doing it.
Yep.
But yeah, they definitely do. But again, I think in this instance, just because that they probably do have some statements that they'll make that the prosecution can use to support their case, but that doesn't mean that their whole testimony is going to.
Well, no, and I mean, look, they got up there and claimed, and again, they spoke the lawyer speak, and he was very careful about how he said it. But of course, all the Gary Meltons and Graham Allens of the world ran with it. Officer Talmud Tatum. They ran with it, but the prosecutor claimed that they have video of him out and about in the neighborhood, the car pulling in, whatever, him walking, him going up onto the
shadows
roof,
don't match.
him getting in position, and he claims taking the shot, but anyway, and then him getting up, running, the whole thing. They've got everything on video, but he's very careful because he even says, make sure to specify that had a, I think he said a disguise of sorts, something like that is what he said. Basically different hat and maybe different, I don't remember, he said a different hat and different glasses or something. To me, they're going ahead and admitting that just based on looking at the footage alone, you can't 100% pick out that it's Tyler Robinson.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I think the reason they threw that caveat in there, that little disclaimer about him being somewhat disguised, is because when we see that footage, it's not going to be just plain as day that it is Tyler Robinson.
But considering the clothes he has on, we should be able to tell. I didn't see was he wearing a mask? I don't think he was wearing a mask. I think we should be able to see that it's,
Well,
Tyler.
his buddy's been in the alternative news a lot lately. And I'm telling you, I think there's something to that. There's a good chance that it was Lance out there, and I mean, look, Tyler had the shoes that Tyler was wearing were similar to the shoes to the guy in the picture. But if you go back and look at past pictures, Lance Twiggs was wearing shoes that were identical to the shoes that the guy in the picture was wearing. So yeah, get on X and type in Lance Twiggs and just scroll for days. There's been all kinds of stuff come up about that, but there's a pretty good case to be made if you look at pictures of Lance, other than the one where he's wearing the goofy ass hat with the ears on it. Regular pictures of Lance, if you compare those to pictures of who they've got on video and snapshots of, I think it could go either way. I think in some pictures he looks more like Lance than he does Tyler, whoever that is.
Yeah, and one of the when I was listening to the expert, they were playing the pre-trial news, or the the early on news coverage. I could tell that there was also a push to make sure that Lance wasn't implicated in doing anything.
No.
In that it was all Tyler. It seemed like early on, even in the news press, they were trying to make sure that no one thought anything, other than he's a furry.
Look at those goofy ass letters. That goofy, those quote unquote, well, they've said Discord and they've said text, but all those messages that they put out right from the get-go. It's just super convenient that you take these messages. The message that was given was a message that Tyler had hoped, the message that was given was something that Tyler had hoped to take to his grave, but yet for some reason decided to spill. And then instead of just saying, yeah, it was me, laid out all these details of exactly what he did and how, and addressed every single evidentiary, point. And also, everything to everything that would take any kind of guilt or any kind of involvement in Lance, completely out of the picture.
Yeah, yeah.
I just think it is so convenient for Lance and inconvenient for Tyler that message, those messages that they said he wrote.
Yeah, no doubt. I just think that part of this whole thing was really just contingent upon those messages. I think the government,
yeah.
I think the state is and always has been almost completely reliant on the text messages and then his parents turning him in.
Those Shakespearean messages.
Yeah, and again, why they wouldn't want the defense to be able to adequately attack the DNA evidence at the preliminary hearing. They want to just rely solely on the text messages and the statements of his parents.
It's not going to work, I don't think.
Well, in this day and age, with as much as people rely, especially jurors rely on DNA evidence, now again, could a judge still let the prosecution win the preliminary hearing without it? Yeah, potentially. But like when it comes to a jury trial, if that DNA evidence or that ballistics evidence isn't like 100% or 95%,
well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
not consistent with, to me, is not going to cut it.
Yeah, Operation Mockingbird's working against them, right? They do all these CIS shows, CSI shows.
Yeah, we've been Mockingbirding everybody, haven't we?
And that's what people expect
in a good way. Yeah,
show up, and it's not that people are unimpressed.
Debbie, this one's for you.
Hey, Debbie.
She says she noticed my BC, or not my BC, but my goodies every now and then.
Oh, dude, I take goodies all the time. I love goodies. Yeah, I love goodies. Got a little caffeine in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said something earlier. We were in Allie's live chat, and she said something to the effect of she used to take a BC, or she said her doctor liked to shit, I think is what it was, when he found out how many BCs she was taking. And I was like, I guess that comment was towards me. I take it you noticed my occasional goodies.
Yeah, I had a toothache for several weeks one time, and I would wake up at night and I'd take a couple goodies and it'd knock it right out.
I can't handle the BCs because they're straight aspirin.
Yeah.
With the goodies, it's aspirin and Tylenol and a little bit of caffeine, so it's not so hard on the tummy.
Yeah, Brett Booth says, Greg, who would be cited as a source in the internal discovery files when it comes to timestamps at the sheriff's office? All I can think is if you're talking about the video, the timestamp should be on the video. But they have some internal custodian of their records that would certify all that stuff. So anything coming out of there, like video or whatever, there should be some kind of records custodian that they have that would certify all that. But otherwise, timestamps, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about video, presumably be on the actual video itself or on the file.
Yeah, there's another comment from Brett. Adam asked Greg about the screenshot from the internal discovery file. Is that the same? Is that those questions?
Timestamps, so maybe that's another comment. Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, no, not exactly. Screenshot. Are we talking about the? Message? The letter that got burnt. And then a picture of the, so.
They had a picture of the letter? They don't even have the actual letter?
No, and I mean, the way it was worded in those documents, what it sounded like was they literally took a picture of the phone screen that Lance showed them of the letter that was written and then destroyed.
So that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to authenticate that through Lance because they don't have the actual document. They're going to be, that's what it sounds like, that they would then rely on Lance coming up there and saying, yes, this is a screenshot I took of my phone at this time from this message. And so, yeah, just really
seems like an awful convoluted.
Yeah. I mean, look, good trial lawyers be able to attack the credibility of that dude pretty good. I mean, pretty good.
Well, at the end of the day, how can you, when you break it down to the granular level, which is exactly what happens in these cases. They want to know exactly how this evidence, no matter what kind of evidence it is, they want to know exactly how it's collected, all the source, like down to the granule,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I guess probably some handwriting experts could probably look at the picture maybe and compare it. But at the end of the day, I mean, how do you actually prove without a shadow of doubt, without any reasonable doubt, that Tyler wrote this letter?
So I
Even
think,
if you can authenticate that the picture was taken and taken when Lance said it was
Yeah.
taken, you still have to authenticate the item that the picture was taken of, correct?
part of handwriting analysis includes being able to look like the actual sheet of paper, because we make
Right, because the
like
weight that
different-
you press down on the paper,
pressure impressions on it, and so
Yeah.
being able to like examine the full sheet.
they could give a best guess, but I don't see how they could do a full analysis without a.
No. I mean, again, unfortunately, at that point, obviously, judge has the option of even letting it in just based upon his testimony. But if he does, then it'll be up to the jury to assess whether they think that he's telling the truth or not.
I got you. Hey, just keep on giving your thoughts there. Go through the chat or what have you. He just clarified. I'm going to pull up this. This post.
Let's see.
That's what he meant when he was talking about the screenshot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pull it up. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, give me just a minute here. Let me find it. Let's see. This may take me just a minute.
Yeah, you're good. No, I'm looking at some of the comments here. Let's see.
All right. Brett's been all over it. Yeah, he's been sending me a bunch of stuff. Lots of good info floating around out there.
Tism says, yeah, I have some questions about the SUV photos. Barron showed one the other day that was like 80% redactions. What do you mean by that? Like the photo? Oh, I think I know what photo you're talking about, where it was just like he had to even explain what you were looking at because it was like blacked out the other part of it. I don't know what that was all about, if that's what you're referring to. But yeah, I think I know exactly what photo you're talking about, because I had to look at it too. Like, what the hell is he showing? This looks really weird. It looked like a window pane, or it looked weird. So I don't know what that was all about.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it, Brett. Sorry. Let's see.
J. Rana Boomer says prosecutors have what they have, but they don't know what evidence or witnesses have yet to turn up. I mean, that's right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the defense is entitled and should be doing their own vigorous investigation. Unfortunately, I think that us out here have been doing a more vigorous investigation. But yeah, obviously, I think with just the information that Candace and Barron have, they could go find enough witnesses. I mean, I think they have enough to throw reasonable doubt up there as it is. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's tons of, to the extent, especially if they wanted to go in there and advance some type of alternative theory. Yeah, there's tons of stuff they could roll with. Whether they want to or not, that's a separate question, because I do think that based upon what we know now, I mean, I think there's plenty of evidence there's enough holes in the state's evidence to where they don't have to really put on nothing. They can just attack it and potentially win. I mean, I think they have a good chance of it. But yeah, there's definitely, like you say, other witnesses that could push a different narrative. The defense has a lot to go on right now.
Brett, did you send that to me on X, or did you text that to me? For some reason, I'm having a hard time finding it. Or if you want to reshoot it to me so it's right at the top, I'm having trouble on the spot. I know it's there. I remember you sending it to me, but
he says, Adam, it's a screenshot Steve Cameron posted that I sent you.
Yep. And I'm trying to find it. I know it's here. Like I said, under pressure, I guess I'm.
Yeah, no, you're good. Katism says, I think Lance is a confidential human source, and we're dealing with a case of FBI entrapment. They did it in 2020 with that fake kidnapping of the Michigan governor. Oh, Lord. Man. Yeah, I mean, everything the more I look at, the more I think that that Lance was ultimately the one probably intimately involved with the government, and again, just speculation.
I'd
And
say there's a really good chance of that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, it makes me wonder, like, is Tyler really like a furry lover or something? Or I mean, I just like it. Again, like I said before,
Is the
too.
guy actually a furry, or did he have some
Well,
weird ass,
is Lance even a furry? Which one is the furry? Like,
a weird
it's
ass,
like
weird ass hat? I mean, like,
everyone was like told to like hate the people who are furries, but then like I think they insinuated that Lance was the furry, but yet Lance is our friend now because he's gonna testify. It's all weird to me, man. It's like,
oh yeah,
what?
there's a lot of weirdness, that's for sure. A lot of weirdness.
Susan says, Greg, what's your opinion on evidence thus far? Yeah, Susan, that it's not good for the state. Not good for the state. I haven't seen anything on top of a lot of several things that are in the information indictment not playing out. Yeah, there's just been a lot of other evidence, extraneous and otherwise, that just again all seem to me to point away from Tyler Robinson, at least as the lone gunman.
Yeah. And while I wait on him to send me that again, I am, if it'll sign me in here, I'm hoping it will. I was going to pull up. I found that I was talking about the Elizabeth Lane, or at the courthouse.
Oh, that's what you were looking for?
Yeah, her talking to the granddaddy.
Oh, yeah, pull it up if you got it.
Well, as long as I can get logged in here. Oh, my God, come on. Got to be a pain in the ass, that's for sure.
So the file photos, is that something Mitch Snow had?
There we go. Brett got it sent to me. There we go.
Debbie says Lance is not a furry. Furry's really dressed apart, and he just had a hoodie on. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's all I saw.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I feel like. I could be wrong. I was wrong that one time, but only reason I was wrong is because I thought I was wrong and I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dude obviously wears some hoodies and wears a little makeup or something like that. But I think it's like a furry's like a whole different kind of like animal. No pun intended.
Look, I've seen some of those people, and yeah, that little hood with ears on it, to me is not necessarily furry.
Oh man.
Yeah, to me that doesn't classify as furry.
Yeah.
Oh, please log me in. What the hell?
You trying to get into X?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Let's see.
I don't understand why it does that. Like it's saying, sign in. So sign in as Adam. Got my account popped up here. Got my little logo and everything. Click on it, and then it says choose an account. So I go down here and I click on the account, and then it comes back to sign in. And it's back and forth, back and forth.
I'm on her page right now, going down.
Oh, on Elizabeth Lane?
Yeah.
I was just signed into this the other day, too. That's what really drives me crazy. Yes, it's... I tell you what. Here, look, I'm going to just shoot it to you on your X. All right?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm looking right now. Maybe I can find it on here.
Yeah, if not, though, I am fixing to send it to you as soon as I can find it again.
Okay, is it this one that has Danks on it too?
Let's see. This one was Alex Jones, where he shared her post. It could very well be.
Okay, I think I'm looking at it here. Let me see. Here, I'll share it.
All right. That probably is, because let me tell you, it got some serious traction. It's been going around. with good reason.
Let's see. So is this it right here?
That is probably it.
Let's see.
See if he actually plays the footage or if he just talks about
It's Saturday, April 18th, 2026. All hell is breaking loose. Iran is now attacking major oil tankers in the Strait of
Let's see. Yeah,
that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the intelligence agency,
maybe
told
that's not
Victor
it.
Levin, he knows what I'm on the Trump train because he got off what he stood for before. Let's just be clear. Are plunging. That affects the Republicans. These are talk to Trump. He does whatever he wants, but recovery. The economists are clear. It will boost.
All right, so let's see. Let's go down. Maybe it's
All
down
right,
here.
I'm shooting it to you.
Oh, okay.
X, there we go. Via chat. And where you at, Greg Lake? Sorry guys, this was a
Text
little
message?
impromptu for sure. Where did you go? Oh, I guess it's been a minute since Greg Lake. There you are. Okay. It's coming your way right now. Sorry. Lordy mercy.
Text message?
No, I just shot it to your, I DM'd you on X. I know
Oh,
you were
okay.
already on X, so I figured it'd be
Yeah.
easiest.
I see you pull it up over here. See, Adam. There we go.
There it is. Sorry, I'm talking about the other thing that Brett was.
All right, here we go.
Well, since I can't get logged in on my computer, I'm going to shoot you this. I'm going to shoot this to you too. We'll look at it after we get done looking at that.
Let me try to pull this other one up. It's on a different screen.
I don't know why I can't log in. I should already be logged in.
Okay. There we go. All right.
Sweet.
Stay with that for a second. Only 2% of what you hear in the media is true.
Headline:
Well,
Tyler Robinson family member. Only 2% of what you hear in the media is true. Wow.
yeah. So, I mean, it tells me everything, Alex. It tells me that this family, convinced Tyler that do the right thing. You just killed the man. Like, all of that is bullshit. That tells me that. Also, this weird narrative of, this whole him going in the police station, and we don't really have the video of that and all that. I think all that was made up. First and foremost, this poor family is in a very bad spot. Like, you can tell that they are devastated. So they all of a sudden ended up in this weird situation where Tyler's characteristics don't add up with any of this. He's not that kid. Again, Lance Twiggs is. He's a violent kid, but Tyler doesn't know how to shoot a gun. He couldn't have shot that gun that accurately right in the jugular. It's just not possible. This is what I gather.
Well, plus the 30-06 shoots right to the throat. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. And it's very crazy to me that the gun is in Quantico. Kathy Nestor said that. We haven't even
they
seen
still
the gun.
haven't got to see it.
We are right before preliminary and we have not even seen the gun. So that's really strange. That's extremely strange, to me at least.
Like I said, the question here is, what does his grandfather think? Because he knows that gun. It's his gun, right? It's a family heirloom. It is his gun, or was his gun, before it was passed down to Tyler Robinson. So he knows that weapon better than anyone. Let's take a listen. And of course, I'm accounting for
Here we go.
sound. We've tried to use AI, bring the voices up and get rid of the background sound. Here's what his grandfather had to say briefly at the hearing.
What are you for, Tyler, or the other side? Oh, your grandparents? Oh, I'm really sorry you're going through this. Yeah, it's tough for you guys.
Yeah, it sucks. Tough for your support.
Yeah, we think your grandchild is absolutely brave, but I'm an investigative journalist. So
Well, I see. I'm mindful for the last what you do.
man, your guns, I can tell you that you're very right. That's why,
And
yeah.
my dad was a cop for years.
Yeah.
He showed me all of this.
Well, you heard the grandpa, this narrative that we were fed that, family turned him in and they might even testify against him, or they think that he's guilty. I mean, all bullshit, excuse my language
That's
here.
okay.
But yes, grandpa said himself, I know what a 30-06 can do. I'm a hunter. And when I said that I believe, sir, that your grandchild is being framed, he said, I do too. And I believe that he's sincere. In fact, I watched for over 6 hours. I watched this family sit there and support Tyler fully, completely. And they were very much on the same wavelengths when it gets to whether they support Tyler or not and what they think. So, yes, I absolutely, with all certainty, can say that grandparents support Tyler. I believe parents believe that he's innocent. So, yes. That narrative is not something something that rings true anymore.
Yeah.
What about that?
Dude. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, it's, I'm not surprised, obviously. I'm kind of surprised that they were talking to the media, to be quite honest with you. I mean,
well,
I'm
you
glad
know,
they did, and
I don't think she was. I don't think she was there talking to him as a journalist on the record. That's why it got recorded by somebody else. We're thinking it was probably Brandy because she was there with her.
Yeah.
But you can tell that it's recorded a little bit from a distance. So I mean, like, it wasn't necessarily meant to be on the record. So
yeah.
I don't know that he would have been talking to her, if he had known that he was being recorded. I mean, I don't know. And I don't think anybody will ever confirm that it was Brandy, because that would make both of them look pretty bad, to record him without. But either way, regardless, for him to say that, though, to me, that makes to me, that's big.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess because any hang up, I guess a lot of people, and maybe I did too, had a little bit of hang up on, well, are his people going to say that he did it,
Right.
So I guess any kind of hole that might have been gaping there, I mean, I guess that does help kind of cinch that up in a sense that, yeah, his people don't.
Well, yeah, for
they
sure.
Didn't in as guilty. They turned him in because he thought he was going to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, he said that, I'm sorry, but he's the one that owned that owned the gun, right? It was his gun that supposedly Tyler shot him with. So at the end of the day, if he thinks that he's gotten framed, I mean, it was his damn gun that he was supposedly shot him with. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if he thinks he got framed, then to me, who else better to and you know what? We'll see. But I can't see the parents being convinced that he did it and the granddaddy not being. I think that the granddaddy probably spoke for all of them.
Well, I'm sure he did too. Yeah, and I've just always had a hard time with that gun.
Oh God, me too.
It's just such a stock standard rifle. I just don't see.
Again, the granddaddy said that.
Yeah, that's my very unique World War I gun. Like, there's nothing unique about that thing, man. I mean, I guess it could be a nice rifle, but like, there's nothing like outstanding about the rifle.
No huge, or there's no real identifying features. Anything that just makes it super.
You can open up the Cabela's magazine to any page, and I bet you there's a 75% chance a rifle that looks just like that's going to be on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that type of rifle.
Yes. I mean, it just looks like all of them.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to your DMs again and pull up that other thing I sent you? That's what he was asking about.
The Cameron thing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull it up. Let's see. All right, here we go. Okay, let's see. So what's this? It's from March 27th, discovery filing. It's official from Washington County, where Tyler surrendered in September. And I agree, it should be ball game, because the disgraced sheriff, Nate Brooksby, who recently resigned, is caught fabricating the timeline. Let's see if we can pull this up bigger. The state will not be able to produce such proof in this case. Discovery base indicates that on the evening of his arrest, Tyler Robinson declined to be interviewed without having an attorney present. Video of the encounter at timestamp 3:36:53 indicates the following: 6:25 p.m. So Tyler, before, okay. These are facts of the government. Oh, okay, yeah. So they're talking about.
That's the discrepancies in the timeline, you know?
Okay, the 6:25.
Yes.
What was actually alleged by them?
Well, the whole thing is that, oh, this thing's starting to make me so mad. So the whole thing is with the timeline, you know, they're saying that, here, let me just pull it up on my phone since I'm not going to be able to pull it up on, good Lord. But anyway, the whole thing is that they're saying that Tyler at, does it say on here? It should say, maybe not. Let's see. Okay, let me produce proof. Okay, indicates that on the evening of his arrest, Tyler Robinson declined to be interviewed without having an attorney present. A video encounter of that, the timestamp 3:36 indicates the following: 6:25. So Tyler, before we begin, right? So they claim that this is a screenshot from. And I told Brett that it'd be nice to have the whole document. That's the only thing that kind of concerns me about this. But you know, so the thing in question is they say that he got there at 6:25 on the 11th, and Gary's argument is that if he was there at 6:25 on the 11th, that's fine, but because the either I guess the state investigators or the FBI or whoever it was, because they weren't there and it was going to be another 3 hours or whatever till they got there, that they just let him chill in there and that they didn't read his Miranda rights to him. He wasn't technically in custody. That's the argument. I feel like obviously before he stepped foot or as he was stepping foot in the jail, no matter if they were waiting on prosecutors or not, he was Mirandized. That's just the way I feel about it. But basically, this right here is claiming that that he was interrogated at 6:25 p.m. Is that not what I'm seeing here? Or not interrogated, but at least asked if he would speak to him.
Well, he was read his rights at 6:25.
I mean, yeah. Yes, he was Mirandized. But where is the rest of this? You know what I mean? Like, there's no heading, there's no anything. And that's the only thing that kind of concerns me about it. Keep talking. I got to swap my battery
Yeah, well,
out.
I mean, I think this right
died.
here, I'll look. I think what this looks like to me, this came from a pleading from Tyler's attorneys potentially. And so this right here is just an excise from a discovery document of a video, Bates number. So that's identification number discovery. So this is from a discovery. So basically they took this transcript from a piece of a video that was handed over to them by the prosecution. Again, showing that at 6:25 p.m., I guess in Washington County is what they're saying, he was taken, or he was received and read his Miranda rights.
But if this is an actual legitimate excerpt from a legitimate whatever kind of document, be it from a pleading or whatever, I mean, this totally flies in the face of Tyler being able to post a Discord.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why Tyler's, and I mean,
but I haven't seen the rest of this thing floating around. Like, why are we getting just this without a formal heading and some signatures and
well, because this was, again, this apparently, if I'm reading it correctly, his lawyers watched the video, so they were given video from the prosecutor.
Okay.
And they took from that video at 6:25 p.m. They just typed out what the transcript says.
I got you.
Yeah, but I mean, there's obviously ethical rules that like
But would that thing not have a heading at least with like law firm or something, anything on there?
Well,
Or
this is
would
a pleading. I mean, if I'm looking at it correct, this is actually a pleading. So this
yeah,
is
I guess the pages of the pleading. I mean, there might be a cover page or what have you, but
70. So
yeah.
this is like in the pleading, they're making a point. And
I wish there was some way to, you know, I wish there was some way to verify that it's legit because, I mean, if that is legit, then that totally flies in the face of the Discord confession because that allegedly was not done until whatever, I don't remember, 9 o'clock at night. Too many numbers for me to keep track of, but it was way after 6:25. So I don't know, very interesting. When I saw it, I was like, holy shit. But again, I don't know. I mean, something like that could possibly be, you know.
I'm logging into the court system to see if
to see if you can find that.
Yeah.
That'd be great if we could kind of somewhat verify that was
I don't know, because Barron said the other day that his lawyers filed some lengthy motion that's like, 70 or 80 pages long. I wonder if that's part of it.
That could very well be part of it.
But yeah, I can't remember exactly which one. Oh, come on. Let's see. Let's see, case number. What case number is it? Yeah, sorry, I'm having to get his case number to type in. Let's see.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if you could find it. I didn't know where to start with that.
Let's see.
I had no idea where to start.
251. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right.
Sounds like you're beating on something to make it work.
The keyboard trying to find the case. Yeah, let's see real quick. Where did what date is this that he posted this? That might give me an indication. April 14th. Let's see. Trying to think which one it would have, which motion it would have been. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me think.
That's the part where I don't.
Yeah, I'm. Let's see.
That would be awesome though for you to be able to find that.
Let me see. I don't know why the system's not letting me. It did this last time too. I'm not sure why it won't let me download these damn things. But I'll just say this: like to me, this looks like part. Let me look at this up. So March 27th discovery filing. Okay, so this is part of the motion to. And it's still giving me an error. I'm not sure. Okay, I figured out which one it is. But yeah, so this, I think this is a legitimate document. I mean, the way I'm reading this is just part of one of their pleadings, and that what we're looking at is the defense attorney's basically recreation of the transcript from a video, and So right now, the 625 timestamp is really just contingent on his defense attorney's credibility in
Well, and
accurately
so
reporting what.
if that's the case, and if he was Mirandized and asked to speak with them, or if he would speak with them at 6:25, there's no way he would have been able to type out a confession on Discord after that. I don't think they would have read him his rights, said, "Will you speak to us?" And he said, "No, I want an attorney." And they were like, "Okay, well, here's your phone,"
No, I doubt they would have done that as well. Yeah, no.
You know,
I mean, in a high-profile case like this, if he came to turn himself in, they would have read him his rights and
like I've said before, he could doze off and be talking in his sleep saying, "I did it." They could use it if he was Mirandized.
No, it says, I mean, again, if we believe the transcript as reported by his attorneys, which again, they would have, it would be bad if they lied about this. Then they certainly did read him his rights at 625. Like
that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. And I haven't seen Barron bring it up. Now, I don't know whether he's not run across it or, I don't know. So that was the other thing, is I've been kind of waiting to, see if he addresses it, which I'm sure at some point he will. But anyway, thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm the way I'm, and I'll figure out what's wrong with that system. But
look at it some more.
Yeah, it is true that he was Mirandized 6. I have no reason to think that his attorneys would have.
Well, we've had this conversation several times, and I think me and you have actually had this conversation talking about, how ridiculous the idea is that they turned him in, or he turned himself in. He got there to the jail, and they just let him hang out, play with his phone, and all this, until finally, he gets sat down with investigators, and then he gets read his rights, and that's when they take his phone and all.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I would imagine they would have taken his phone immediately and tried to get a search warrant for it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Gary Melton is the one that says that, that's ridiculous that they let him lounge around on the couch and, play
I doubt Gary's ever been arrested before, right? I doubt Gary's ever been a criminal defendant before. Okay, I have been. I'm going to tell you, no.
I wouldn't doubt. I wouldn't necessarily doubt that, but I doubt he's ever. Defended anybody for sure.
No, he trust me, dude. Cops are harsh, man.
It's funny. It's funny to hear him say that Barron's a shitty lawyer. Like, really? And what makes you, what gives you
about Larry Muller's a hell of an investigator, bro. So I mean,
I know.
You can investigate for sure. So
like, it's amazing to me to listen to him and some of those others. Like, they go on and on about all the lying and how shitty a lawyer and blah 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 blah. When all they're doing is getting on their YouTube channels or what have you, and just literally just spewing, throwing up, puking out the original narrative. Like, they're not doing any research. They're not doing any investigative work. They're literally just spewing the narrative. So,
I just, and I said this last time, I just wonder, it's like what they say a lot of times is so far against just reason that their credibility has been completely flexed out and in many instances shattered. Like, did they get paid to do that? Like, I don't know. Like my intellectual honesty means a lot to me, like, I'm not just going to get out there and like make some wild, claims, at least without appropriate disclaimers, right? Before I make them, just for anybody or for any reason. Like, I don't know. I just have a,
hey, there's another pretty interesting comment down towards the bottom. Let's see. About Elizabeth McCoy. You see that?
Who is it by? Who said it? Is it Karate?
Yeah.
The event manager was on site. Her name is Elizabeth McCoy, but this assistant event manager can be seen at time of shot coming around front with her cell phone to focus in on Charlie.
Now, I have not seen that, but that's something I will definitely look into.
Okay.
I have not heard that. But anyway, so let's see. That was, yeah, there's several of them there. So I see where you are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The film guy asking the question point is, why would the event manager not clean out the back of the SUV? This was an inside job. Get rid of the pieces that broke. Most likely off the door handle. So Barron did show pictures. He and I don't know, I'm not sure where they came from, but he finally got his hands on some very good high definition pictures of the inside, and the door handle was in fact intact.
Yeah,
It
I
was,
saw that. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it
saw
was
that,
not
yeah.
broken.
Yeah.
So I know that was a question that was going around quite a bit, was about the door handle, but
Okay.
it definitely was not broken. And then let's see, which you're not taking time to clean the back seat out. Yeah, so I mean, about the cleaning it out, I mean, I would have to go back and look at who had access to what and when. I do know that, like, I don't know what happened to it. I have heard it, at least one of the stories that I heard was basically that it either went straight back to the rental company, or there was some kind of, like, I don't know that these Turning Point people had access to it again after they got their shit out of it. Like, I don't know if it would have been possible for them to have cleaned it out. I don't really know. Maybe need to go back and look at that timeline again, but
Yeah, I was talking about this a little bit earlier too. Yeah, it's like someone said that Frank Turek mentioned that when he tried to go back and get his bag or some shit like that.
yeah, we were talking about that with his necklace was draped over it. So I do know at some point after they got to the hospital, the FBI, well, I don't know if it was the feds or state or who, but anyway, they did, according to him, take control of the vehicle and wouldn't let him back in there to get his bag. As far as the investigation and evidence collection goes, I'm pretty sure there at the hospital was the extent of it, or at least to hear him talk about it. But then after that, how much access would Turning Point have had to actually clean up incriminating, pieces of evidence? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I say, the car should have never been gotten rid of until
the whole car should have been hauled.
Yeah.
Hauled onto a lot. And anyway, there's another one down here too, and I remember hearing this. I never looked that hard into it though, but it said something that PS something podcasters have not talked about for some reason is that Elizabeth McCoy, we were led to believe, scheduled Charlie's event, which is true. If she wasn't, I don't remember if she was in charge of that or if was just really involved in that, but either way, she was big into his event planning. Oddly, 2 weeks ago, Dan Bongino wanted us to know she did not schedule Charlie's event. So like you remember he was talking about his wife?
Yeah.
Talking about how his wife had something to do with the scheduling. Yeah, I got to go back and look into that. It's been like the information coming out on this. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. So I'm going to go back and look at that again.
Wow.
Go back and see what Dan Bongino had said about that again, and see if I can find anything out about what exactly she had to do with any of that. Did you hear that though? When Bongino,
no, I didn't.
Yeah, Dan Bongino was saying on his podcast, that his wife worked with Turning Point, and I do remember him saying that she helped either plan events. Maybe she said specifically that event. I just don't remember. I didn't get a chance to look into it, and I hadn't thought about it lately. I had to go back and look at that, but I do know that Dan Bongino said his wife was involved in event planning.
Wow.
Maybe that's why he's so offended by all of this.
Oh, Dan Bongino?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Again, I think a lot of this.
Yeah, talking about no after meal planned. Yeah. What about the what about the event that was scheduled the next day for where was it? Colorado, I think.
Yeah.
And they had no security. They had no security plan, nothing at all.
Man.
Yeah.
True.
That is so interesting. And like I said, there's been so many different rabbit trails to go down. That's not one I've really looked at close, but I will look into that a little closer and I will report back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to start pulling these pleadings and going through them. And so Brett said that he had gone through that discovery filing and didn't see that page in there. So I'll definitely look. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was the other thing that Brett had said, right? Yes. But I mean, I don't know. It seems legit, but
yeah, well, it says page 70. So Brett, if you still have that pleading and you it says page 70 right here. Here, I'll pull it up again just so you can see it. It says page 70 right here.
Yep.
So, but I'll definitely pull it up and look too. No, that's interesting. I mean, again, I don't think people are against making some shit up like that and putting it on X, but
right.
But
it
I would
does
hope
look
not.
legit. It looks and sounds legit.
Oh, it looks like a piece of a pleading. I mean, it definitely looks like a pleading to me.
And that time is consistent with the time that was on the whatever it was in the original charging documents, I think. But
I'll say this: if it is a legitimate part of their pleading, I would have a very hard time thinking that that's not correct. I mean, or at least that they intentionally fabricate. I mean, they owe a duty to the court to be with candor. So it's like unless they just made some kind of crazy inadvertent mistake, they're interpreting that timestamp to be 625. I have no reason. If this is true, page of the document, I have no reason to doubt that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm putting my email in the chat right now. One of them. I'm putting my email in the chat. Why don't you email me? Why don't you put me a list together of points that you think are interesting and maybe want to look into, and I'll see what I can find out and report back. But let me put my email address in there. That way I can go back and look, and like I said, I'll do some digging. All right, 91 at.
Well, I'm getting kind of into my road tonight, Adam.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's getting late.
But yeah, if we can still plan to do Fridays. I'm going to be doing a few recorded episodes and maybe a live stream during the week. But I'd like to do Fridays with you as much as possible. We can.
Yeah, for sure.
I do enjoy this, and
absolutely.
I'm dipping my toes back in it now, so I'll be back in it regularly. And again, I'm gonna figure out why it won't let me pull up these pleadings no more. I've got money on my account on it, but I'll figure it out. I'll get up to date on everything and be ready to go deep on some of the pleadings, because there's just the whole story's developing, and it includes the pleadings, and it's just a lot, man. It's just
it's easy to get lost in the weeds when you start talking about court documents, all the plea,
especially
and
this
all that
one,
stuff.
man. I mean, I think they're up to pleading 400 or something. I mean, again, complex litigation, it gets like that. I've definitely been in federal cases with 500-600 more pleadings, but they are at number 507.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I guess on something this big and this complex, I mean,
yeah,
you're going to have that. But
in my position, you just have to kind of figure out what's the most important for what people, probably need to know and latch on to. And just because a lot of it is just back and forth bullshit. But, there's been a few pretty big substantive ones filed as of late that I need to catch up on. And I intend to over this next week. And,
we'll see if you can find out where page 70 came from.
I'm going to look for it, man. I'm going to write that down. Page 70.
Yep. I can't believe that I couldn't figure out what he was talking about whenever he first said something about it. Once I actually realized what he was talking about, I was, oh yeah, that. So definitely be nice to get some more.
Yeah, I'll definitely look it up. Yeah, if I can, I tell you what, if I do, I'll make a post on my community tab, and I'll chime in, and we can meet and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
If because I know Barron did break down the timeline, and I think he was also asserting that it was actually around that time. So it's
Yeah,
like I
no,
said,
that
Barron picks up it.
yeah, that definitely correlates with. I mean, that time is legit timestamp according to one of the other documents. It's just a matter of that other document did not specify what happened exactly at that particular time, other than he was there.
Okay.
So-
Well, yeah. I mean, so yeah. I mean, with that being said, I guess that
It would
does
make
all kind of
sense.
what we see there. But I'll look. Brett said he looked at every page. I'll take another look too. Look, it's 70, 80 page document. You can miss stuff, you know. So
Yep,
I'll
for
definitely
sure.
look it over.
Yeah. See what you got.
Yeah.
And the that last live stream I did with the ecological criminal report. That's it. It's a mouthful. The one that you were thinking about jumping in on and just didn't work out. Before we went live, I asked him if he was familiar with you, heard of you, what have you, and he was familiar with you and was actually pretty excited to talk to you. So I told him we may try to put together a part
Who
two.
was that? Who was that again?
He's the one that took Gary to task, the one that debated Gary not too far back. I'll shoot you the link for it.
Yeah,
and
shoot me a link. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, you can go back and
stream, man, and talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, especially
he was the one. Y'all were on y'all's backs. Y'all were on y'all's way back from somewhere, and you ended up getting back late. It was the
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. But shoot me that. Yeah, I'd like to see where he was talking to Gary. I'd be honored, yeah, to do a
Yeah.
live stream.
I'll shoot you the link where he talks to Gary, and I'll shoot you the link with me and him.
Okay.
The live me and him did, and then we might hook something up where we can all three jump on the stream again. So
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, man, for sure.
all right, well, I guess we'll call it a night. You gonna
Yeah.
plug your stuff real good?
Yeah, well, yeah. God bless everybody. The Entheogenic Esquire YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We'd be honored to have you, and definitely subscribe to Adam Thomas Podcast.
Yes, absolutely. And I am on X. Greg's also on X, but I'm on X.
I need to get more active on X. I'm going to get me a paid
Yeah.
account on X too.
I'm not super active on there, but I do try to at least post the live streams before they go up, and I'm getting a little more active. But yeah, so my X link is on my YouTube page, but it's Adam Thomas Podcast. So should be able to find me. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, like and subscribe. Please like the video, share it.
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
Share on all your social medias. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to both. And yeah, you'll be double whammy. See, if you miss one notification that we're on, maybe you'll get the other.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate y'all coming out. Y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all. Yeah, God bless each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all.
Troopers.
Yeah, we will be back. I'll be posting videos this week and live stream. I'll probably members live stream on Sunday for my members that are here, and yeah, we'll go from there, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
All right, brother. Hey, have a good one. I hope the babies get to feeling better, and just let me know if you need anything in
Appreciate
the
it.
interim, and I'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
All right, brother.
Hey,
have a
we'll
good one,
talk at
man.
you-
God bless
Yes, sir.
everybody. Thank y'all
All
for
right.
showing up.
See you.
All right, brother. Peace.